Chapter 171. Named Holy Land. Actually, Demon Cave, the supreme sect under the night sky, was serene and peaceful. Guan's divine sense encompassed the entire supreme sect. He saw the hidden spaces seemingly exposed before his eyes, each cave residence laid bare. There were even small realms similar to the Manifest Holy Cave, though those small realms were far less extensive than the Starmaster Cave. The Supreme Sect had 4 mystic heart realm cultivators, Ancestor Shen Quan, Lu Lingjun, and 2 supreme elders whom Guan had never seen before. One was a woman whose presence he had sensed in the Inner Sect's book collection hall. One had to admit the foundation of the Supreme Sect was strong. Guan noticed LV Badian practicing energy in his cave, seemingly still striving to break through to the mystic heart realm. LV Badian treated Guan well. Guan started to consider secretly assisting him during his next tribulation crossing. Then, Guan returned to the Mystic Valley. He stepped into the pavilion, sat on a chair, and stretched lazily. Home was always the most comfortable. Guan closed his eyes and began to savor the experiences of the past 2 days. The mysteries of the wandering immortal realm, the vastness of the heaven and earth primordial skill, and the wonders of the mystic holy body. Too many things were worthy of reflection and appreciation. Until morning came, Guan went downstairs to lead his disciples in exercises, then returned to his room. The disciples did not notice Guan's changes because the gap in cultivation levels was too vast. The disturbances in the ocean did not reach the continent, and over the next 3 days, Guan did not sense the divine senses of nirvana or loose immortals sweeping across the continent, which put him at ease. After 3 days, he continued harvesting medicinal herbs. His lifespan was just over 1. For million years, with the lifespan barrier alone consuming hundreds of thousands of years. For the next lifespan function activation, he would need to accumulate 100 million years of lifespan. The mere thought made Guan's scalp tingle. 100 million years of lifespan was no easy task, certainly not the work of 2 or 3 decades. At his current rate of 200,000 years of lifespan income per year, it would take about 5 centuries. He had to strive harder to increase his annual lifespan income. In the morning, he went to the 3rd Medicine Valley. In the afternoon, he visited Tianya Valley. By evening, he headed to the Demon Land to meet Ji Xiaoyu. In the underground cave, the black-clad Ji Xiaoyu was still seated in meditation, cultivating energy. Her spiritual power had recovered by 30%, and she had consumed quite a number of spirit energy elixirs during this period. Guan appeared out of thin air 10 steps away. Ji Xiaoyu did not detect his presence. After watching quietly for a while, Guan finally spoke up. "There is a powerful force within you. After depleting your spiritual power, this force has actually enhanced your cultivation level." Upon hearing this, Ji Xiaoyu quickly opened her eyes, then stood up and faced him with a clasped fist in courtesy. "I have ties with the Ji family and wish to teach you a divine skill. Would you like to learn?" Guan asked calmly. He intended to impart the Taoist Gang primal energy to Ji Xiaoyu. The Taoist Gang primal energy, transformed from Heaven and Earth Path Gang, was stolen from Ji Xiaoyu by Jiang Qiong. By returning it to Ji Xiaoyu, Guan repaid the debt of her past rescue. Upon hearing this, Ji Xiaoyu asked, "May I ask, Senior, what divine skill is it?" "The Taoist Gang Primal Energy. Have you heard of it?" "The Taoist Gang Primal Energy?" Ji Xiaoyu was moved, her eyes showing a mix of surprise and doubt. Guan said softly, "It seems you have heard of it." Through her mask, Ji Xiaoyu could not discern his true appearance. She suppressed her inner shock and asked with furrowed brows, "May I ask, Senior, who exactly are you?" "The Taoist Gang Primal Energy is an ultimate skill of the Ji family that has been lost. There is no related transmission within the family, and to master the Taoist Gang Primal Energy, one must first cultivate the Heaven and Earth Dominator body. To achieve the Heaven and Earth Dominator body is enough to be included in the main family's lineage." Guan replied, "There is no need for you to know my identity. You only need to answer whether you want to learn." "Then please, Senior, teach me." Ji Xiaoyu replied without hesitation. Guan waved his sleeve, and a gust of wind blew towards Ji Xiaoyu. She had no time to dodge and was immobilized. In her pupils, a figure continuously changed stances. While Ji Xiaoyu was entranced, Gu En observed her, equally curious. Besides the primordial Taoist talisman, Gu En sensed she had other secrets. She possessed an indescribable composure. Even facing Gu En, she did not lose her poise. Gu En recalled the first time he saw Ji Xiaoyu in his youth. She was different from her peers even at a few years of age. At that time, he even guessed she might have been possessed by someone, with an old soul inside her body. An hour later, Ji Xiaoyu's eyes became clear. She took a deep breath and turned to look at Gu En, who was standing not far away by the mountain wall. She said, "Thank you, Senior, for your guidance. How can I repay you?" She was sure the Taoist gang primal energy she just acquired was genuine. The Taoist gang primal energy shared many similarities with her Heaven and Earth Path gang. She could even see the signs of the Heaven and Earth Path gang evolving into Taoist gang primal energy. This person's Tao level surely exceeded her imagination. He might even be the strongest person she had ever encountered in her life. "I do not need your repayment. I am only considering your surname, Ji. Tell me, what are your impressions of the Seven Stars spirit realm?" Gu En replied casually. In fact, in his heart, Ji Xiaoyu was more important than the Ji family. Although the Ji family raised him years ago, they intended to cut off his hand. It was Ji Xiaoyu who spoke up to save him. His acceptance into the Supreme Sect was also Ji Xiaoyu's idea, unrelated to the Ji family. Over the years, the medicinal herbs Gu En had contributed were enough to repay the Ji family. This time, rescuing Ji Xiaoyu was also repaying her past kindness. At least in Gu An's mind, he and the Ji family, including Ji Xiaoyu, were even in grace. The Ji family was about to leave the Supreme Sect. To Gu En, it meant that the Ji family would have no relation to him in the future, becoming strangers. Ji Xiaoyu looked at Gu En and calmly said, "A place named Holy Land, but in reality, a demon cave." Gu En was surprised. He did not expect Ji Xiaoyu to recognize this. Ji Xiaoyu continued, "It seems Senior also has a different view of the Seven Stars spirit realm. Otherwise, you would not have asked me. Perhaps we can stand on the same side." "Oh? Why should we stand on the same side?" Gu An's tone was intriguing. Ji Xiaoyu frankly said, "I want to overthrow the Seven Stars spirit realm. My power alone is too weak. I hope Senior can assist me." Gu En inquired, "Reason? It has nothing to do with the sake of the people. The Ji family wants to marry me off to a disciple of the Seven Stars spirit realm. For the sake of blood relations, I cannot oppose the Ji family, so I intend to eliminate the Seven Stars spirit realm." Ji Xiaoyu's expression remained calm. "Though I was born in the Ji family, I will not choose to sacrifice myself for the family. Between me and the family, I will always choose myself. If Senior harbors animosity towards the Seven Stars spirit realm, then we can join forces. I will gather as much information about the Seven Stars spirit realm as possible." Listening to her, Gu En could sense the coldness emanating from her bones, causing him to reassess her. In Gu An's impression, Ji Xiaoyu had been merely calm and composed. Only this time did he truly understand who Ji Xiaoyu was. Although her words seemed selfish, Gu En did not dislike her for it. A person must prioritize themselves, and Ji Xiaoyu had not harmed her clansmen. The Seven Stars spirit realm was indeed not a decent entity. Gu En said, "All right." Ji Xiaoyu immediately raised her hand in salute to Gu En. "Do you know that the root cause of the demon calamity comes from the Seven Stars spirit realm?" Gu En suddenly asked. Upon hearing this, Ji Xiaoyu frowned and said, "I only know some of the evil deeds the Seven Stars spirit realm has done. I guess there might be a connection, but I don't know the specific reasons." Gu En then told her what he had learned. As she listened, Ji Xiaoyu's brows furrowed more and more tightly. After he finished speaking, Ji Xiaoyu coldly said, "If what you say is true, then destroying the Seven Stars spirit realm could indeed save the populace. The Seven Stars spirit realm is deeply rooted and strong. To destroy them is extremely difficult. For now, you should lie low. Once humanity prevails over the demon calamity, then make plans against the 7 stars spirit realm. Guwen replied. Ji Xiaoyu nodded. Then Guwen waved his sleeve, taking her to the edge of the great Jiang dynasty. In the land of 5 dynasties, there must be a transmission array leading to the 7 stars spirit realm. Delivering her here made Ji Xiaoyu safer. Before Ji Xiaoyu could speak, Guwen disappeared from the spot. Ji Xiaoyu spread her divine sense and soon caught sight of cultivators. Her expression grew complex. To cross such a vast distance in such a short time, who exactly is he? As autumn ended, winter snow finally arrived. After parting with Ji Xiaoyu, Guwen returned to his usual farming life. Even though he had reached the 9th layer of the wandering immortal realm, he did not act recklessly. However, the changes brought by wandering immortal could not be completely hidden, so he began to elevate his apparent cultivation level. He planned to pretend to reside in the core formation realm using elixirs. In the future, he could slowly improve his cultivation, creating the image of someone dependent on elixirs. This would make others think him lucky and not strong. Guwen aimed to be perceived as harmless to the Supreme Sect and other factions, making everyone believe there was no point in killing him, nor any harm in keeping him alive. This day, in the 3rd Medicine Valley, Guwen was playing chess with Lu Lingjun. Snow drifted down but could not cover their bodies or the chessboard. Guwen placed a piece and smiled. You've lost again. Lu Lingjun frowned, puzzled. She had calculated countless scenarios. How did she still lose? It didn't make sense, she thought. She was in the mystic heart realm. Unable to restrain herself, she asked, Why can't I beat you? You're too hasty. Being hasty leads to flaws. Guwen replied. Chess was something he brought to this world. How could he lose? He had to defend the dignity of Wuxia people. Lu Lingjun couldn't help but ponder. At that moment, a figure flew over Elder Guzong's son, Guyu. He quickly landed beside Guwen, excitedly saying, Guwen, the true inheritor disciple has returned. He's planning to lecture in the inner sect after the new year. You have to listen. They say he's now in the Mahayana realm. Hearing this, Lu Lingjun grew interested too. For Mystic Heart Realm cultivators, the most intriguing subject was how to reach the Mahayana realm. Guwen couldn't help but ask, Really? What is the true inheritor disciple's name? Yesterday, he had sensed a Mahayana realm cultivator enter the Supreme Sect. As elders had personally received the person, he hadn't paid much attention. Of course, it's true. His name is Shen Tianyi. With a Mahayana cultivator like him, we'll have a better chance against the demon calamity. He said if had come back earlier, dealing with the 6-headed sea dragon, another Mahayana cultivator, would have taken just a single move. Guyu said excitedly, his face full of admiration. Chapter 172. Regret having met too late. Journey to the West. Guy's arrival interrupted the chess game between Guwen and Lu Lingjun. Lu Lingjun was also interested in Shen Tianyi, so she asked Guyu a few questions. After chatting for a while, Guyu finally left. Guwen noticed Lu Lingjun's drifting thoughts and knew she was thinking about Shen Tianyi. He stood up and turned to leave. Lu Lingjun suddenly said, After the new year, you should go listen to the teachings too. It's a rare opportunity, as great cultivators are not often seen. Guwen turned back to look at her, seeing her face full of longing. He chuckled lightly without saying more. The influence of a Mahayana realm cultivator's teachings was immense. As winter approached, more and more disciples returned, and cultivators from other sects also came. Shen Tianyi's name spread throughout the immortal cultivation world, and his cultivation achievements were revealed and widely circulated. Supreme Sect's strongest genius since ancient times. Core formation at 20, nascent soul formation at 42, divinity transformation at 70, void crossing at 100, and unification at 200. Due to his extraordinary talent, Supreme Sect hid his true age before he reached the unification realm. When he attained the 9th layer of the unification realm, he went south to seek immortal fate directly. This made Supreme Sect even more cautious about mentioning his talent, fearing great calamity. He searched overseas for immortals for 300 years, and upon his return, he had already reached the Mahayana realm. With Supreme Sect's grand promotion of Shen Tiany's legendary life, his name shook the world in a short time, overshadowing the 9 cultivators. The vast majority of cultivators found his achievements unbelievable, even thinking Supreme Sect was exaggerating. Guwen heard about Shen Tiany's deeds in the outer gate city and also thought it exaggerated. But on second thought, it made sense. No wonder someone in the sect said as long as the true inheritor wanted the sect leader position, LV Badian would have to step down within a day. In the face of such talent, no matter how great LV Badian's contributions were, he had to concede. Although Shen Tiany's growth trajectory defied the understanding of ordinary cultivators, his return indeed boosted Supreme Sect's morale. Even before the new year, the outer gate city already had a festive atmosphere. Amidst the vast winter snow, Guwen arrived at the 3rd Medicine Valley from Mystic Valley. As soon as he arrived, he sensed 2 auras, one of which was unmistakably at the Mahayana realm. Shen Tiany was here. Guwen's expression remained calm as he walked towards his loft. Upon pushing open the door and entering the room, he saw 2 people inside. The vice sect leader Ji Han-tian and a man in green robes. Shen Tiany, dressed in green robes, looked youthful, making it hard to imagine he was a Mahayana cultivator, more like a young disciple. Guwen, you finally arrived. Close the door and sit down for a chat, Ji Han-tian said with a smile, as if he were the master of the loft. Guwen didn't mind. After closing the door, he came forward and cupped his hands in respect. Before Ji Han-tian could introduce him, Shen Tiany spoke first. You are Panin? Shen Tiany, Mahayana Realm, 6th layer 598/4800/5000. Seeing Shen Tiany's lifespan, Guwen was secretly astonished. 5,000 years, the extreme lifespan cultivation reached so quickly. Looking at it this way, Shen Tiany would surely undergo nirvana within 4,500 years. By then, breaking the heavenly destiny would achieve another extreme lifespan. Based on Guwen's experience, Shen Tiany's spirit root qualification should be equivalent to the 5,000-year extreme lifespan level. At least his physical qualifications weren't as good as Ji Xiaoyu or An Hao, but his comprehension must have been astonishing, combined with extraordinary opportunities to achieve his current state. Guwen pretended to hesitate and looked towards Ji Han-tian. Ji Han-tian smiled. Speak truthfully. This is our sect's true inheritor, Shen Tiany. He is not an outsider. He is Supreme Sect's most prized disciple. Ignoring the compliment, Shen Tiany continued to curiously observe Guwen, his eyes bright. Guwen immediately responded, Indeed, I have a pen name called Panin. Shen Tiany smiled, saying, Your investiture of the gods is very good. Someone gave it to me earlier and I enjoyed it very much. I even had it mass-produced and spread overseas. Your book is widely popular on the seas, much more so than my own writings. Thank you for your appreciation, Senior. May I ask what book you wrote? Guwen cupped his hands in thanks and inquired. Shen Tiany coughed lightly and said, I just wrote something casually. It doesn't compare to Investiture of the Gods. His book is not worth mentioning. Ji Han-tian shook his head with a smile. This made Guwen even more curious about what Shen Tiany had written. However, Shen Tiany didn't want to talk about it and instead started discussing Investiture of the Gods. Facing his inquiries, Guwen had to answer each one, and Ji Han-tian didn't interrupt anymore. He got up and left, closing the door behind him. Shen Tiany didn't have the pride typical of a Mahayana cultivator. When he talked about some of the plots in Investiture of the Gods, he became indignant, especially over the story of Neza cutting his bones to return to his father and flesh to his mother, which greatly angered him. Guwen couldn't remember Investiture of the Gods word for word, so he expanded many stories in the book, like Neza cutting his flesh to return to his parents and Yang Jian rescuing his mother at Peach Mountain, making the characters more three-dimensional. This was also why Investiture of the Gods became so popular. Shen Tiany was very curious about how Guwen wrote such an extraordinary book. Guwen replied that he met an immortal in his dreams who touched his forehead, suddenly enlightening him. It was sudden because he could never write another divine work like Investiture of the Gods afterwards. Your supreme, immortal, venerable, and shattering void are also good, but I still think they fall short of Investiture of the Gods, Shen Tianyi said with lingering interest. Guwen didn't argue, but asked what book he had written. Shen Tianyi suddenly looked embarrassed and mumbled. Guwen seized the opportunity, constantly asking questions, and finally, Shen Tianyi revealed the book's title. What? Green Hero Travel is your work? Guwen exclaimed, slapping the table in excitement. Whether it was Shen Tianyi's illusion or not, he felt an inexplicable panic for a moment, unsure if he was scared by Guwen or had a guilty conscience. He nodded reluctantly. Guwen raised his hand and took out a copy of Green Hero Travel from his storage bag, which made Shen Tianyi emotional upon seeing it. I love Green Hero Travel. I've read every copy at least 100 times. Guwen went on and on about his love for Green Hero Travel. Shen Tianyi listened, feeling unprecedentedly moved in his heart. Finally, someone appreciated his talent. He immediately felt as if they had met too late. On the way back, lying on the deck, each time he read Investiture of the Gods, he felt more of a connection with Pan En. This feeling of anticipation even surpassed the thrill of returning to save the sect. Sure enough, Pan En was the soulmate he had been seeking all his life. The more Shen Tianyi thought about it, the more excited he became. He suddenly stood up, grabbed Guwen's shoulders with both hands, and said, Pan En, no, Guwen, let's become sworn brothers. From now on, I'll be your elder brother. Guwen was stunned. What kind of logic was this? Wasn't the pace too fast? Seeing his hesitation, Shen Tianyi said boldly, Brother, I tell you, with my cultivation level on this continent, I am undoubtedly invincible. Swear brotherhood with me, and no one will dare to bully you anymore. I heard that LV Batian wants to take you as a disciple. Don't listen to him. His defying fate divine skill is dubious and sinister. I can teach you my divine skill. With our brotherhood, I won't say I'll help you defy heaven and change fate, but leading you to the unification realm won't be difficult. Initially, Guwen wanted to refuse, thinking it absurd to become a younger brother to him, a wandering immortal. But Shen Tianyi's latter words tempted him. He was worried about how to live for 1,000 years in the future. Normally, once he reached the divinity transformation realm, people wouldn't consider him ordinary anymore. Now, if he reached the unification realm with Shen Tianyi's help, people would at most admire him and not see him as a threat. However, Guwen decided to put on an act. So he pretended to decline. Shen Tianyi didn't give up, and after several attempts, Shen Tianyi got angry, forcing him to agree. Since brother appreciates me, I'll call you Brother Shen from now on, Guwen said helplessly. Shen Tianyi smiled broadly, taking out a jade scroll. Hey, race my cultivation technique. Take it and practice. After the new year, I'll send a batch of cultivation resources to you. This isn't good, right? Guwen said, holding the jade scroll with embarrassment. Shen Tianyi glared. If you feel bad, then write a second Investiture of the Gods. Stop writing Shattering Void. It's too absurd and tasteless. Guwen, holding on to the advantage, could only laugh. All right, I'll definitely write it. Oh, do you already have a plan? It's called Journey to the West. I'll tell you in advance. Journey to the West? It doesn't sound as good as Investiture of the Gods. You should think it over again. Haha, you don't understand. You'll know when the time comes. Shen Tianyi didn't continue to criticize Journey to the West. Instead, he started talking about another book and took out a book. The inspiration for Green Hero Travel came from this. Shen Tianyi said mysteriously, raising the book in his hand. Guwen looked down, his eyelids twitching. He then took out a book from his storage bag. Shen Tianyi was dumbfounded upon seeing it. How do you also have Taoist Xuanxuan? Shen Tianyi asked, his eyes wide with excitement. Elder Su Lu from the book collection hall gave it to me. So you're the descendant who keeps asking for Taoist Xuanxuan. Ha ha ha, we truly have a fated connection. I had someone bring this book back for him. Shen Tianyi was overjoyed. pulling Guwen to start discussing Taoist Xuanxuan. Their conversation lasted until dusk without ending. During this time, Ji Hantian knocked on the door but was driven away by Xian Tianyi. Only at dawn did Guwen escort him down the stairs. Watching Xian Tianyi's departing figure, Guwen's face was full of smiles. After chatting all night, he didn't feel tired. Both felt as if they hadn't had enough. Had Xian Tianyi not had other important matters today, they could have continued talking. Lu Lingjun suddenly walked over and asked, "Is he the true inheritor?" Guwen nodded. Lu Lingjun examined him with a peculiar look in her eyes, asking, "You spent a day and night together. You didn't what?" It's rumored that some great cultivators, after experiencing mortal pleasures, seek new interests to fill the void in their hearts, like homosexuality. Lu Lingjun trailed off, but Guwen already understood. Guwen rolled his eyes and snorted, "Oh? You guessed it? Then don't ever think of me as your Taoist friend." Lu Lingjun, seeing his expression, pursed her lips and smiled. "Looks like I overthought." Chapter 173. Heavenly Tao Trap. Difference between immortal and mortal. The new year had arrived, and the atmosphere this spring festival was even more lively than in previous years. With the addition of Guzong and Xian Tianyi, the third Medicine Valley was buzzing with excitement. It was rumored that the true inheritor had sworn brotherhood with the Valley Master, which thrilled the 400 servant disciples, all worshipping Guwen with adulation. Xian Tianyi always wanted to chat with him about Taoist Xuanxuan, which made him quite distressed. It wasn't until dusk that Guwen found an excuse to leave and return to the Mystic Valley to spend the festival with his junior sister and disciples. The disciples sat around the table, toasting and exchanging cups, rejoicing in the celebration. Yilan and Zhenqin began recounting matters of the immortal cultivation world once again. The number of demons in the land of the 5 dynasties had not decreased due to the actions of various sects, but had, in fact, increased. Moreover, demon cultivators and evil people were also on the rise. Many believed that the human race was doomed and thought it better to indulge before dying, or to seize treasures through murder and then sail south. In short, both the immortal cultivation world and the common folk were in chaos. As long as the demon calamity was unresolved, the world would remain in turmoil. Zhenqin had once complained why the mountain god did not take action, but Guwen, pretending he wasn't the mountain god, remained silent. Didn't the mountain god say, why should he protect the human race? If demons worship him, why can't he support them? The strength of a race ultimately depends on itself, not the favor of immortals, Yilan remarked nonchalantly. Having been in the law enforcement hall for so long, she had seen too many sins, giving her deep life experiences. The more evil she had witnessed, the more she cherished Guwen, Zhenqin, and Xiaochuan. Many cultivators ended up lonely at the end of their paths. Having companions in life was a blessing. Guwen listened quietly, occasionally chiming in. No matter how chaotic the world became, he had no intention of taking it upon himself to save it. However, he would still occasionally descend from the mountain to relieve suffering, aiding some fated beings without upsetting the grand scheme of things. After all, he was still unsure of the strength of the 7 Stars spirit realm. Even if he knew, he couldn't protect the continent alone. Doing so would mean that all future calamities befalling the continent would fall on his shoulders, and any enemies targeting the continent would first come after him. The mere thought gave him a headache. Zhenqin mentioned Suhan again, saying that Suhan had followed the 9 Nether 13 evil to Tianwei. Recently, Suhan had just absorbed the spiritual power of a divinity transformation realm cultivator, causing a stir in the immortal cultivation world. The Supreme Sect had also dispatched great cultivators to kill Suhan but ended up being severely injured by the 9 Nether 13 evil. Guwen thought that the person being merely injured might have been due to the 9 Nether 13 evil, considering the face of Sword Venerable Fudao. The world's situation was changing, and Guwen only wanted to watch from the sidelines. His target was the Demon Emperor and the Demon Ancestor. Once the demon calamity erupted and the world plunged into chaos, he would seize the opportunity to eliminate the Demon Emperor and the Demon Ancestor, eradicating the greatest scourge of the calamity. The remaining demons would serve as grindstones for the world's cultivators. The conversation lasted deep into the night, and Yilan and Jinqin decided to stay in the Mystic Valley and leave the next day. Yilan even came to his pavilion to confide in him. As they chatted, Yilan suddenly blew out the candle in the room. "Junior sister, what are you doing?" "Senior brother, I fear the calamity may strike at any time and do not wish to have regrets before I die." "You again." "Senior brother, though I may not be your Taoist friend, let us cherish the feelings we have now. What say you?" "Junior sister, we should not be like this." "Senior brother, I really like you." "Stop it." "Senior brother, don't make me use force." Bang, bang, bang. Sounds of physical confrontation echoed inside the room. Come morning, Guin and Yilan came downstairs, Guin walking ahead with a smug expression. Yilan, rubbing her wrist, looked at him with a resentful gaze. They had fought last night. Yilan had tried to use force, but surprisingly could not overpower Guin. In the end, she was unsuccessful and inevitably felt disappointed. Yet, thinking of how Guin had restrained her, a smile tugged at her lips. So, senior brother likes this sort of thing. Yilan began to understand Guin a little more. She quietly rubbed her backside, counting how many times senior brother had struck her last night. After finishing her morning exercises, Yilan and Jinqin left. Guin then sneaked into the 8 scenic caves. As he approached the green vine tree, Jiang Qiong, with her eyes closed, said, "Last night was the spring festival, wasn't it? It was really lively." "Yes, I brought you some pastries made by the disciples." Guin responded, squatting down and taking out the pastries and wine. Jiang Qiong opened her eyes and looked at him. "Do you like your junior sister Yi?" she asked. Guin replied, "To say I don't like her at all would be a lie, but I feel I cannot accept her now. It would delay our cultivation." "Oh? And why do you think it would cause a delay?" Jiang Qiong asked, intrigued. "Once someone is in your heart, you can't help but think of them. If the relationship is confirmed, feelings turn into responsibility, and you'll consider that person in everything you do. This inevitably affects your cultivation. I'm not afraid of being affected myself, but I hope she can cultivate peacefully without my influence," Guin said earnestly. He spoke from the bottom of his heart. Yilan had poor aptitude and now needed to find a way to cultivate the primordial reincarnation skill to change her extreme lifespan. Guin could choose to accompany her for the last 100 years of her life, but he didn't want her to have only 100 years now. If love lasts forever, why not cherish every moment together? Guin raised his wine cup, offering it to Jiang Qiong. Jiang Qiong looked into his clear eyes, feeling as if she was seeing him for the first time. This boy still had a romantic heart. Jiang Qiong asked, "How do you know you'll definitely live longer than her? What if you die first, and her years of painstaking cultivation lead to a regretful second half of her life? What then?" Guin smiled proudly. "To be honest, I now possess 2 slices of the Medicine Valley, with an endless supply of medicinal herbs. Even if I don't cultivate much, living a few hundred years just by relying on elixirs isn't hard." "A few hundred years?" Jiang Qiong found it amusing. This boy's perspective was really narrow. But for some reason, the thought of Guin passing away in a few hundred years while she continued to pursue the elusive immortal path made her inexplicably uneasy. "Come on, drink. Not drunk, no return," Jiang Qiong suddenly said with a stern face. Guin immediately raised his cup. An hour later, when Jiang Qiong still wanted to drink more, Guin saw things were going awry and found an excuse to leave. But Jiang Qiong pulled him back. Jiang Qiong began forcefully making him drink. To hide his cultivation level, he had to pretend to be weak against alcohol. This was spiritual wine. If a foundation establishment realm cultivator drank too much, they would definitely get drunk. Eventually, he had to pretend to be drunk, lying on the ground. Jiang Qiong sat on the ground, looking at Guin, letting out a breath of relief. This boy is clearly a foundation establishment realm cultivator. How can he drink so much? Jiang Qiong thought to herself with a flushed face. She almost couldn't outdrink Guwen. If word got out that a nascent Soul Realm cultivator couldn't outdrink a Foundation Establishment Realm 1, it would be a huge joke. She just sat there watching Guwen, her thoughts wandering. Feeling the time pass, Guwen began calculating in his mind. 3 hours later, he got up to leave, having already been drunk once. If Jiang Qiong tried to stop him again, he wouldn't hesitate to flip out. After a long while, Jiang Qiong suddenly squatted in front of Guwen, raising her hand to brush the hair from his face. Guwen's heart pounded with tension. Wait a minute. This old demon cultivator wouldn't be greedy for my flesh, would she? Guwen felt absurd. Why did so many women like him? Was it simply because he looked handsome? Hadn't these female cultivators seen handsome men before? Jiang Qiong's low voice came to his ears. Why does this boy look better and better? It's really strange. After achieving wandering immortal status, even though Guwen hid his cultivation, his appearance and demeanor had a transcendent quality to them. Jiang Qiong thought it was her affection changing his image in her eyes. Sigh, what am I thinking? He's my grand disciple. Even if I'm a demon cultivator, I can't act immorally. Jiang Qiong withdrew her hand and sat down. She became silent. After a while, she suddenly kicked Guwen, hitting his waist. Guwen cursed inwardly. Why was this woman hitting him? She kicked him again, and Guwen rolled away, putting distance between them, and shouted, More drink! What master? I don't recognize you. You definitely can't outdrink me. Seeing his drunken state, Jiang Qiong couldn't help but laugh. After that, Jiang Qiong didn't act out again. When the 3-hour period ended, Guwen groggily got up, seeing Jiang Qiong meditating. He immediately snuck away. Though Jiang Qiong didn't open her eyes, a smile crept onto her lips. After leaving the 8 scenic caves, Guwen went to the Nianshu Cave of Heavenly Phoenix Mountain. After picking some medicinal herbs, he sternly guided Tianyaoer in her cultivation. He vented his frustration from Jiang Qiong on Tianyaoer. Tianyaoer didn't mind though. When Guwen was about to leave, she clung to his arm, trying to pester him further, causing him to quickly vanish on the spot out of fright. Back at the 3rd Medicine Valley, Guwen kept pondering a question. Was it that spring had come and everyone was more prone to emotions? Or was he just unlucky? Why did Yilan, Jiang Qiong, and Tianyaoer all come on to him? Fortunately, Lu Lingjun only indulged in banter and didn't actually treat him as a Taoist friend. These were all traps set by the Heavenly Tao. The Heavenly Tao wanted him to be ensnared by these women's affections, dragging him into worldly conflicts. Sooner or later, the 3 women would encounter various troubles. If he were bound to them, how could he stand idly by? Intervening more frequently would eventually attract the attention of powerful enemies. The concept of causality was complicated. The higher his cultivation, the more Guwen respected causation. The intersections of fate in the mortal world seemed random, but in reality, followed certain laws. Guwen pondered as he walked toward his pavilion, contemplating the way of cause and effect. In the distance, Xiaochuan stood by the wooden fence, watching his spirit dogs playfully fight. His gaze suddenly caught sight of Guwen ascending the stairs. For some reason, Xiaochuan became lost in thought. The feeling Guwen gave him was indescribable, as if his senior brother could fly away at any moment. This feeling was quite strange. He came back to his senses and smiled self-deprecatingly. Senior brother has already sworn brotherhood with Mahayana cultivators. He's long been a different league from me. I only rely on his care to live. When I pass away, he will still be young. Feeling melancholic, Xiaochuan sighed. He was envious but bore no jealousy towards Guwen, believing his senior brother deserved his current status. When he died, if there truly were an underworld, he would pray for his senior brother, wishing his immortal path smooth and worry-free. Uncle Xiaochuan, the white spirit rat is back. An Exian suddenly ran over, interrupting his thoughts. Chapter 174. Catastrophe rarely seen in 10,000 years ever since they had the mystic pure tree. The white spirit rat had basically been napping under it, rarely going out, and when it did, it was gone for several days, making Xiaochuan always worry about it. Under Nzin's guidance, Xiaochuan arrived at the mystic pure tree. The white spirit rat was lying under the mystic pure tree, its belly facing the sky. Xiaochuan squatted down and gently petted its belly, while it displayed a look of comfort. An Xian came up behind Xiaochuan and said with emotion, "Uncle Xiaochuan, you spoil it too much. It goes out for so long. Don't you think it needs a little scolding?" She couldn't stand the white spirit rat's cockiness and laziness. Had it not been Guan's pet, she would have taken care of it long ago. Don't underestimate it. It has another name, the treasure-hunting rat. It rarely goes out, but when it does, it might come back with a treasure, Xiaochuan said with a smile. At these words, an Xian squatted down as well, curiously examining the white spirit rat. The white spirit rat opened its eyes to see her, and its eyes widened. Suddenly, it spat a pearl at an Xian, who couldn't dodge in time. The pearl hit Nzin's face and immediately turned into liquid, seeping into her skin. Everything happened so quickly that an Xian couldn't react. By the time she realized what had happened, she screamed, stood up hurriedly, and frantically touched her face, while Xiaochuan was also frightened, not knowing what to do. The white spirit rat gave a smug smile and ran behind the tree. Guan heard Nzin scream and rushed over immediately, followed by other disciples. "Don't move, let me see." Upon hearing Guan's voice, an Xian calmed down instantly and let go of her hands. Everyone looked closely and saw that apart from a slight redness due to emotional agitation, there were no injuries on her face. Guan examined her and then asked Xiaochuan to go fetch Lu Lingjun. Although an Xian was fine, she had obtained an opportunity. But Guan couldn't say this out loud. He had to get Lu Lingjun to explain it. Before long, Lu Lingjun arrived. After inspecting an Xian, she smiled and said, "You should thank that fat rat." Upon hearing this, an Xian was stunned, and the people around were puzzled. The white spirit rat suddenly peeked out from behind the tree, baring its teeth at Lu Lingjun, but its overly chubby figure rendered it completely non-threatening. "Senior, do you recognize the pearl it spat out?" an Xian asked nervously. Just as Lu Lingjun was about to answer, a figure flew in from the distance, and she turned to look. The newcomer was an imposing male cultivator who swiftly landed behind the group. Frowning, he asked, "Whose white spirit rat is that?" An Xian couldn't help but tighten her grip on her sleeve. Guan stepped forward and said, "It is mine." "I'm sorry, Taoist friend, that pearl has already been absorbed by my disciple. I am willing to compensate with medicinal herbs." An Xian looked at him with gratitude, while Lu Lingjun had a look of amusement. The male cultivator's cultivation level was at the nascent soul realm, and his cave was not far from the Third Medicine Valley. Having only joined Supreme Sect 2 years ago, he was unaware of the importance of the Third Medicine Valley. Seeing that Guan's cultivation was low, he said sternly, "Compensate with medicinal herbs? You are merely the acting valley master. How many medicinal herbs can you offer? My water spirit pearl is an extremely rare treasure. Your white spirit rat sneaked into my cave while I was away and stole it. This is unforgivable." Lu Lingjun chimed in, "The water spirit pearl is indeed rare. It can enhance a being's perception of water attributes' spiritual energy." The male cultivator glared at an Xian with even more anger, making her even more anxious. Guan said helplessly, "How about 26th grade medicinal herbs?" Hearing this, the male cultivator was moved, surprised at Guan's generosity. The disciples were also shocked, knowing the high value of 6th grade medicinal herbs. They usually handled even the seeds with extreme care, for a single seed of a 6th grade herb was worth their lives. Seeing the male cultivator hesitate, Guan continued, "This disciple of mine is an Hao's sister. Her aptitude is mediocre, so she can only temporarily reside here. If you can let this matter go, and Hao will also appreciate it." "And Hao? Which and Hao?" the male cultivator asked with a frown. Guan smiled. "Of course, the top of the golden list." The disciples were not surprised. as this had long ceased to be a secret, while an Exian opened her mouth but said nothing. When the male cultivator heard this, his expression shifted between dark and bright. He coughed once and said, "In that case, on an house account, I'll accept your 26th grade medicinal herbs, but keep a better eye on your white spirit rat in the future. Thank you for your generosity, brother. I will take you to get the medicinal herbs." Guan took the male cultivator away, leaving the other disciples to discuss the event. Xiaochuan began to comfort an Exian. She did not feel wronged, but rather ashamed, as she had received such a stroke of luck out of nowhere and caused trouble for Guan and Hao. She felt guilty. Lu Lingjun snorted, "That kid has guts, not even letting me help." She was a member of the Hall of Elders and could have easily made the male cultivator leave with a word. This made her see Guan in a new light. Besides her, Guan had also sworn brotherhood with Shen Tianyi and had a close relationship with the sect leader. Even so, Guan did not resort to abusing his power, always offering sincere compensation. This character was truly admirable. After the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, the male cultivator left. Guan looked back, feeling quite emotional. Was this a fortunate mistake? If Xiaochuan hadn't been so kind to the white spirit rat, would it have spat the pearl on his face? Shen Tianyi's Dao Enlightenment Conference was held as scheduled. Guan took an Exian and Xiaochuan to the inner sect city to listen to the teachings. He didn't gain much, but for an Exian and Xiaochuan, as well as all the inner sect disciples, it was immensely beneficial. With the successful conclusion of the Dao Enlightenment Conference, Shen Tianyi's prestige soared, surpassing that of the sect leader and becoming revered by everyone in the sect. In early summer, Shen Tianyi went to the border and killed a Mahayana realm great demon king and 3 mystic heart realm demon kings, becoming famous across 5 regions. Now, the title of the strongest under heaven was attributed to him, though many still believed Sword Venerable Fudao was stronger. As for the Taoist lord of Tsangtian sect, he had been silent since his return. Shen Tianyi's action greatly intimidated the demon land, giving people hope. Thus 2 years passed. Guan's lifespan reached over 2.5 million years. In those 2 years, he still occasionally went down the mountain. Upon learning that people called him the Green Hero, he was stunned. What was this? That night, Jiang Qiong left, going somewhere to retrieve her belongings. Guan could only wish her safety, unable to stop her. After leaving the 1,000-mile range of Supreme Sect, Jiang Qiong walked through the mountains and forests. Clad in a long black robe, she looked like a ghost. Suddenly, she stopped, frowning. Following her gaze, a black shadow appeared ahead, and she was startled. Demon Shadow Divine Skill. Could there still be a master of Thousand Autumn Pavilion? Wait, near Supreme Sect, a great cultivator who knew Demon Shadow Divine Skill. Jiang Qiong immediately readied her magic artifact, poised for action. If I wanted to kill you, do you think you could resist? A cold and hoarse voice came from the mysterious shadow ahead. Jiang Qiong took a deep breath and asked, "May I ask if you are Sword Venerable Fudao?" Guan raised his hand and tossed the Ephemera Sect Hierarch token to her. She did not catch it, but took a step back and looked down at the token on the ground. The 3 words Ephemera Sect made her complexion change drastically. "You are from Ephemera Sect? How is that possible?" Jiang Qiong looked at Guan in disbelief. Sword Venerable Fudao, who had opposed Ephemera Sect, was actually from Ephemera Sect. Guan said calmly, "This is the Hierarch token of Ephemera Sect. From now on, you are my envoy managing Ephemera Sect on my behalf. You can do what you want, but don't let Ephemera Sect commit any more evil deeds." Upon hearing this, Jiang Qiong immediately understood. Sword Venerable Fudao must have taken over the position of Hierarch after Ephemera Sect's downfall, intending to change Ephemera Sect. She breathed a sigh of relief. As long as Sword Venerable Fudao is truly a good person, there is no need to be so fearful. "Why choose me?" Jiang Qiong asked. "You have been in Supreme Sect for over 100 years, coming and going. I saw you on 9 Nether Road before. Later, you returned to Supreme Sect and did not harm the disciples, which at least shows that your nature is not bad. You seem to be in a swamp, perhaps because there are people you care about in Supreme Sect or because you are avoiding enemies, Guan said nonchalantly. Jiang Qiong's expression changed, and her eyes turned cold. She thought Sword Venerable Fudao was using Guan to threaten her. None of that matters. What matters is whether you are willing to take over Ephemera Sect. The Ghost Mother of Ephemera and the 9 Nether 13 Evil will see the token as seeing me. With this token, you can make great impacts, Guan said coldly. Jiang Qiong took a deep breath and said, to be honest, I have offended 7 Stars Spirit Realm. That is also one of the reasons. What? Jiang Qiong's face changed drastically, and she looked at Guan in shock. Moonlight shone through the gaps in the leaves, illuminating her, while Guan remained in the darkness. Jiang Qiong returned after 3 months. It was autumn, and the night was slightly cool. Guan and Jiang Qiong came to the 8 scenic caves. Disciple grandson, I have returned to say goodbye, Jiang Qiong said softly, looking up at the green vine tree. Guan feigned confusion and asked, where are you going? Jiang Qiong smiled. During this time, I've thought a lot. Hiding all the time is not the solution. It might even drag you down. 7 Stars Spirit Realm is indeed powerful, but they are not necessarily the rulers of the world. I want to build my own force and keep climbing. Guan appeared hesitant, various emotions flickering across his face. Noticing his expression, Jiang Qiong felt even happier. She laughed. The great demon calamity is imminent. The more chaotic it gets, the greater the opportunities. Maybe in 100 years, I can come to Supreme Sect openly. By then, I'll have you receive me, all right? Guan asked, do you really have to fight? In the world of immortal cultivation, if you don't fight, you'll be trampled on sooner or later. Even if you are safe in Supreme Sect for now, what about later? What if someone wants to kick you out and take over your achievements in Medicine Valley? What will you do? Faced with Jiang Qiong's questioning, Guan remained silent. Afraid that he would be timid in the future, Jiang Qiong smiled and said, if you don't fight, then I'll fight. Don't worry, as long as I'm alive, there will always be a place for you. Unless I die. Guan was moved and looked at her. Satisfied with his expression, Jiang Qiong said, according to the information I've received, the great demon calamity is about to fully erupt. Be prepared for this once-in-million-years catastrophe. Chapter 175 Suhan's Envy. Demon Ancestor's Resurrection. Jiang Qiong returned home but stayed only for 1 night before leaving. Guan could sense her renewed fighting spirit, much like when she first restored her physical body, full of vigor. Guan also had high hopes for her future. If she could lead the remaining followers of the Ephemera Sect onto a righteous path, it would be a meritorious deed. Although the Ghost Mother of Ephemera was using Suhan, they merely desired to return to their homeland. Meanwhile, Suhan needed someone to protect him. Both sides were using each other, and who would have the last laugh depended on their own abilities. Everyone had their own life journey. Even those closest to Guan, Yilan, Jinqin, and Liya were living their own lives of immortal cultivation, only occasionally visiting Guan for a chat. After Jiang Qiong left, Guan's life continued as usual. Even though he had reached the 9th layer of the wandering immortal realm, he did not find planting flowers and herbs tedious, as he had higher goals to pursue. Since the medicinal herbs had to be picked personally to gain lifespan, Guan rarely used his clone technique. As for receiving guests and handling matters, he was too lazy to use his clones. Throughout the year, the instances requiring another persona to handle were few and far between. Such occasions added variety to his tranquil life, which he naturally enjoyed experiencing firsthand. Every day held fascination for Gu and Tianwei, Heavenly Palace Mountain. Heavenly Palace Mountain was nestled among vast mountains, with a massive palace sitting at the peak. A stone staircase extended from the foot of the mountain to the summit, unobstructed by trees. Thus the palace was referred to as the Heavenly Palace, and ascending the mountain was lauded as reaching the heavens. On the ascending heaven steps of Heavenly Palace Mountain, Suhan approached with a bone sword in his hand. His black robe fluttered, and his long hair danced in the wind. He looked up at the figure on the mountaintop, a look of unwillingness on his face. The person standing at the summit was Hao. Hao wore a gold-trimmed white robe, with a dragon crown on his head. His wrist guards, belt, and boots were all exquisitely ornate and gleamed with brilliance. He looked down on Su Han from the mountain top, a smirk of arrogance and pride playing on his lips. Hateful heaven divine sword? That's all? I heard you can devour others' spiritual power, but even though you take shortcuts, your cultivation growth is slower than mine? Hao's voice resounded under the vast sky, full of heroism. Su Han looked up at Hao, not angry, but with a complex expression in his eyes. At that moment, several figures appeared in the woods at the base of the mountain. They moved like specters, quickly positioning themselves behind Su Han. 9 Nether 13 Evil. Su Han raised his sword to block them. The third of the 9 Nether evil spirits, Li Sanyu, said in a deep voice, "If you don't deal with this boy, you won't be able to devour the cultivation of those cultivators in the palace." Su Han responded calmly, "He's from the Supreme Sect. I don't want to deal with a disciple of the Supreme Sect." The 7th of the 9 Nether evil spirits, Li Chio, mocked, "You can injure him without taking his life." Seeing the 9 Nether 13 evil appear, Hao squinted. He raised his right hand, and a long sword materialized in his palm. Bathed in sunlight, the blade glimmered with a radiant arc. Su Han frowned, hesitating. The 9 Nether 13 evil did not wait for him to decide and started to ascend the steps. Rumble. Clouds in the sky churned, quickly transforming into thunderclouds. A powerful sword intent enveloped the 9 Nether 13 evil and Su Han. Su Han's eyes widened, looking up at Hao in horror, unable to maintain his composure from before. Such sword intent. How could it be? Su Han knew that Hao was younger than him. He couldn't comprehend how Hao had cultivated such a powerful sword intent. To have honed the Taitsong divine shocking sword to such a degree? What is your relationship with Sword Venerable Fudao? A voice rang out, belonging to the ghost mother of Ephemera. As soon as she spoke, the 9 Nether 13 evil stopped in their tracks. The name Sword Venerable Fudao made them cringe in fear. Luckily, they had not attacked Hao earlier. Hao snorted coldly. "Why ask so many questions? If you want to fight, then fight." The Taitsong sword intent caused the thunderclouds to gather into a human face. If Guwen saw this, he would feel gratified, as Hao had taken the mastery of the Taitsong divine shocking sword to a new level. "Retreat!" The ghost mother's voice rang out, and the 9 Nether 13 evil turned and descended the mountain without hesitation. As they walked past Su Han, they nudged his shoulder. Su Han followed them down, but he couldn't help but glance back at Hao. It was the first time he had seen someone scare off the ghost mother of Ephemera, which made his feelings more conflicted. If I had a background like his, I wouldn't be in this situation. Su Han quickly disappeared into the forest with the 9 Nether 13 evil. At the mountain top, Hao quietly exhaled, despite his arrogance. The 9 Nether 13 evil had put him under tremendous pressure. His master was truly formidable. Wherever he went, he thrived. Hao felt proud, then turned and walked towards the heavenly palace. Before he reached the door, Sienner poked her head out from within, looking at Hao excitedly. As Hao approached, she softly asked, "So your master is Sword Venerable Fudao?" Hao pressed her head, not uttering a word, and walked straight into the heavenly palace. Late autumn, 3rd Medicine Valley. Guwen sat on the staircase of a pavilion, watching the disciples clear the autumn leaves. The 3rd Medicine Valley was vast and its scenery magnificent, making him feel content. The weather was pleasant, the wind was gentle, everything seemed wonderful. The only blemish was a strong surge of demon energy gathering in the north. Guwen used his divine sense, at the wandering immortal realm, to see endless demons surrounding a mountain. The mountain appeared as if it had been sliced by the heavenly sword, its top flat, with an altar standing on it. The area around the altar was filled with great demons, the lowest of which were at the mystic heart realm, and one had even reached the Nirvana realm. Guwen speculated that the one of the Nirvana realm must be the Demon Emperor. A stronger demon energy than the Nirvana realm was amassing within the altar. Demon energy pervaded the lands and skies, and the clouds above churned. Occasionally a meteor would fall, resembling an apocalyptic scene. Moreover, Guwen sensed the presence of great cultivators around the demons. Some of these cultivators also had the aura of the Nirvana realm. Evidently, these cultivators were from the Seven-Star Spirit realm, and they were waiting for the resurrection of the demon ancestor. Neither human nor demon. What an interesting world. Guwen laughed softly, his tone mocking. He retracted his divine sense and then took out the Taoist Zunshan's writings to peruse. He had no intention of prematurely stopping the demonic calamity. He planned to act unexpectedly against the Seven-Star Spirit realm, and now was not the right time. The sun set and the moon rose. An Exion arrived at the staircase, asking, "Master, why are you sitting here?" Guwen looked at her, smiling, enjoying the moonlight. "How about you? How has your cultivation been lately?" After merging with the water spirit pearl, and Zin's maximum lifespan hadn't changed. Treasures of extraordinary rarity in this world couldn't easily alter one's lifespan limits, but he could feel that Zin's energy absorption speed had greatly improved. And Exion smiled sweetly and said, "Pretty good. Thanks to you, Master. I promise to cultivate herbs well to make up for your loss. A 6th-grade herb is priceless. It might take you a lifetime to make up for it." "No problem. As long as you don't mind, Master, I'm happy to stay in the Medicine Valley for a lifetime." Unlike an Hao, who sought justice in the world of immortal cultivation, an Exion, aware of her mediocre talents, only cared about this Medicine Valley. There were hundreds of disciples in the valley, so life was not dull. Occasionally, she would visit the outer gate city. She had no worries and enjoyed these days greatly. Seeing Zin's bright smile, Guwen couldn't help but smile too. "Then I will provide for her for a lifetime." Guwen treated his disciples well, not for any return. Could these disciples surpass him in power? He simply enjoyed creating good relationships. Having affection for others who reciprocated his kindness gave him satisfaction. The master and disciple chatted idly, and an Exion mentioned the white spirit rat, saying it was too fat and needed some exercise. Thus, Guwen entrusted the white spirit rat to her, permitting her to handle it as she wished, which made her very happy. One night passed. Early the next morning, many Supreme Sect disciples flew northward. Some even flew over the 3rd Medicine Valley, making an impressive spectacle and causing the valley's disciples to talk excitedly. After watching for a while, Guwen stepped onto the transmission array platform. An ancient hour later, Guwen arrived at Tianya Valley. He saw Lvcien had returned, meditating on a cliff facing the valley's entrance. Seeing him from afar, Lvcien nodded slightly as a greeting. Guwen nodded back and walked into the valley. 2 years had passed, and the world's landscape had greatly changed. Now only 3 dynasties remained: the Taizong dynasty, the Tianwei dynasty, and the Great Jiang dynasty. Among them, the Taizong dynasty possessed the most extensive territory. The Great Jiang dynasty was at the bottom because they hadn't participated in the internal wars, being too busy fighting demons. After Guwen finished harvesting the medicinal herbs, he had 3 monkey demons plant the seeds. Luo Hun came to Guwen's side and said, "Your Majesty wants you to hasten to increase your cultivation level to the 9th layer of the Foundation Establishment realm and reach the core formation soon." He raised his hand, took out an ornate box, and handed it to Guwen. "His Majesty said that with your current status in the Supreme Sect, someone will surely help you form your core. This is a golden core he prepared in advance since he can't find the time to return himself." Luo Hun's eyes showed curiosity. He was curious about Guwen's current status in the Supreme Sect. Unfortunately, Li Zuando's letter did not specify. Guwen put the box into his storage bag and asked Luo Hun to thank Li Xiandao on his behalf. Luo Hun whispered, "The book." Guwen discreetly took out a book. "This is the latest Green Hero travelogue. Green Hero himself gave it to me, and no third person has seen it yet. Luo Hun accepted it with joy. At that moment, Ji Xiaoyu's brother, Ji Ruolai, appeared behind Luo Hun, looking at Gu and asking, "Have you met Shen Tianyi?" Luo Hun moved aside to give him room. Guan asked, "Why do you ask?" "Green Hero Travelogue is written by Shen Tianyi," Ji Ruolai said expressionlessly. Luo Hun was embarrassed, quickly leaving. Guan nodded. "Indeed, we have sworn brotherhood." Hearing this, Luo Hun stopped, looking at him in disbelief. Ji Ruolai squinted his eyes, carefully examining Gu and LV Xian, who was meditating on the cliff, opened his eyes. The name Shen Tianyi was well known to him. In the current world of immortal cultivation, who didn't know the Supreme Sect's true inheritor? Ji Ruolai stared at Guan and said, "It seems Shen Tianyi likes your investiture of the gods." "Investiture of the gods? What do you mean?" Luo Hun suddenly stepped forward, looking at Ji Ruolai with a frown. "Are you saying Investiture of the Gods was written by Guan?" Ji Ruolai nodded. Luo Hun looked at him in disbelief. This news was more shocking than Guan and Shen Tianyi's sworn brotherhood. Chapter 176 The Eyes Peeking at All Beings. Guan, Pan and Luo Hun looked at Guan, thinking in a daze. His expression made Guan very displeased. "What do you mean by this? Disappointed?" Guan was not afraid of Pan An's identity being exposed now. Not to mention his cultivation level, just his backing was enough to handle all the trouble he could encounter. Don't think that Guan has killed many strong people, but those strong people had no direct enmity with him. Currently, the enemies he could provoke would hardly exceed the divinity transformation realm. Even LV Xian in the distance felt shocked. Guan was Panin? He knew that Guan had extraordinary cultivation talent, but did not expect him to have such skills. At this moment, LV Xian once again felt his own mediocrity. He realized that true geniuses never show off their talents. They disdain comparing themselves with others. Ji Ruolai looked at Guan and said, "My third sister wrote to me, asking me to take good care of you. She greatly appreciates your decision to stay at the Supreme Sect instead of following the Ji family in relocating." Upon hearing this, Guan could only say, "I am cultivating in the Supreme Sect. At a time of crisis, I cannot run away. Moreover, I don't need to go to the battlefield, so I must do my part from the rear." Ji Ruolai nodded, with a look of admiration in his eyes. The three chatted for a while before Guan took the opportunity to bid farewell and leave. Watching his departing figure, Ji Ruolai chuckled softly and said, "Being sworn brothers with Shen Tianyi, his cultivation level no longer matters. From now on, I have to treat him as a great personage." Luo Hun did not respond but muttered, "Why could he write the Investiture of the Gods? I can accept that he wrote the Green Hero Travelogue. Don't think that he now loves reading the Green Hero Travelogue and Taoist Xuanchuan. But in his heart, Investiture of the Gods was the masterpiece. The former satisfies his desires, while the latter is his life pursuit." Early winter. Just at dawn, a terrifying demon energy came from a distance, startling everyone at the Supreme Sect. In Mystic Valley, the servant disciples practicing exercises with Guan also noticed it, all turning to look in terror. They had never felt such dreadful demon energy, making them instinctively fearful. Guan also felt it and said, "Continue practicing, focus on our tasks, don't worry about what you can't control." Hearing this, the disciples could only suppress their inner fear and continue practicing. Chu Jingfeng and Lu Jujia were also practicing, both furrowing their brows tightly. They felt that this demon energy far exceeded that of the six-headed sea dragon, which had once brought despair to the human race. Now, an even more terrifying demon appeared, leaving them wondering how to survive the demon calamity. This demon energy did not dissipate after its appearance. It lasted for 7 whole days. On this day, Guan came to the outer gate city, where rumors about the demon ancestor had already spread. "Have you heard? The ancestor of 10,000 demons who founded the demon clan has resurrected. He is the root cause of the demon calamity." The six-headed sea dragon was only one of the 72 great demon kings. There's still the demon emperor above him, and now an even more powerful demon ancestor appears. What are we going to do? With Senior Xian Tianyi, Taoist Lord, and the 9 great cultivators of the world, we still have a sliver of hope. These people are formidable, but who can kill the demon emperor and the demon ancestor? No matter what, even the great cultivators have returned from overseas to aid us. How can we, the people who cultivate immortality, be afraid? We will fight to the death with no regrets. Even the Foundation Establishment Realm outer disciples were stirred with bloodlust, ready to fight at any moment. Guwen arrived at the edge of the heavenly repair platform and saw Dixia, the son of the demon emperor, not comprehending sword enlightenment, but standing by the platform, looking at the sky, seeming deep in thought. The sky was covered with surging dark clouds, and the snow was falling heavily, as if to obscure the vast world. Guwen also looked up, raising his right hand to catch a flake of snow. The snowflake melted instantly upon touching his hand, dissipating into wisps of white vapor. Loose immortal, Guwen silently thought in his heart, judging the cultivation level of the demon ancestor. Indeed terrifying. If Xian Tianyi and Taoist Lord had not returned, the human race of the 3 dynasties, having only mystic heart realm cultivators, how could they resist the loose immortal realm demon ancestor? Even if those 2 returned, they could not possibly be a match for the demon ancestor. The gap in cultivation levels was too vast enough for the demon ancestor to easily crush them. Under Guwen's gaze, the dark clouds in the sky actually formed the outline of 2 gigantic eyes, overlooking all beings with oppressive power. More and more people noticed the abnormality in the sky. As they looked up, all were terrified. Before these eyes, all beings felt their insignificance. They inexplicably thought of a name. Demon Ancestor. The outer gate city quickly fell into extreme silence and oppression. Humph! So what if it's the demon ancestor? Xian Tianyi will surely vanquish it. Watch closely, everyone, this world is ruled by humans. Xian Tianyi's domineering voice resounded through the supreme sect, like thunder, echoing for a long time, making everyone who heard it enthusiastic with boiling blood. Guwen smiled upon hearing this. One had to admit, Xian Tianyi indeed possessed the bearing of a savior. In this regard, LV Badian was inferior to him. LV Badian was domineering in management, but Xian Tianyi had an unmatched sharpness, a sharpness that could bring people endless power in times of calamity. Guwen could feel Xian Tianyi flying out of the supreme sect, heading towards the northern territory. He turned and left. Countless demons were coming south, and it wouldn't be long before the great calamity of demons would fully erupt. Let them fight first. Only after experiencing despair can one truly cherish peace. Heavenly Phoenix Mountain, Nianchu Cave. At a stone table, Guwen was drinking, while Tianyao squatted on a stone stool, barefoot, looking up at the sky nervously. At this moment, countless demons were passing by Heavenly Phoenix Mountain, heading south, causing Nianchu Cave to tremble slightly. Tianyao looked at Guwen, furrowing her brows, and asked, "Master, I don't know why, but I am very angry and want to tear things apart. I have never felt this way before." Guwen also felt a force. The demons of the demon land were continuously going berserk, losing their minds. This was not caused by the commands of the demon emperor or the demon ancestor. There was an eerie force affecting the demons in the dark. Specifically, it was affecting the demons of the demon land. Guwen could feel that this force did not extend to the demon creatures in the lands of the 3 dynasties. He was very curious about what kind of force could influence so many demons. Could it be the blood of the demon ancestor? He remembered that the demons on this continent were derived from the blood of the demon ancestor. That's because your cultivation level is not high enough. Do you want to be controlled by other demons in the future? Guwen asked expressionlessly. He was watching the grand procession of demons. No matter which direction his divine sense probed, it was filled with countless demons, making one's scalp tingle. Tianyao shook her head and said, "I don't want to be controlled by other demons. I will only let Master control me. Guwen did not respond but stood up. He was preparing to strengthen the restrictions in his cave to prevent Tian Yaoer from going berserk and destroying his medicinal herbs. At the same time, in the northern territory of the Great Jiang Dynasty, on the battlefield where the battle with the six-headed sea dragon took place, numerous factions had established large bases at the edge of the canyon spanning across the ground. LV Batian hovered in the air, looking at the horizon with a serious expression. On the other side of the canyon, demon energy pervaded, darkening the skies, like a different world from the one the cultivators were in. Ji Hantian flew to LV Batian's side, saying solemnly, "This battle is unlikely to last for many days." LV Batian glanced at him and asked, "Isn't the Ji family planning to withdraw?" "Yes, most of the disciples have already left the Supreme Sect." "Then why are you here?" "Because I am the vice-sect leader of the Supreme Sect. Anyone can leave but not us." Ji Hantian looked far away, his gaze calm, yet his words carried immense strength. LV Batian shook his head and laughed, then looked towards the horizon alongside him. The demon fog surged at the horizon, like an abyssal storm gradually approaching, with the oppressive feeling of countless demon energies converging. Tianwei Dynasty, the former land of the Chuntang Dynasty, in a forest around Three Pure Ones Mountain. Su Han sat under a tree, caressing the bone sword in his hand. The 9 Nether 13 Evil scattered around, and the ghost mother of Ephemera sat on a coffin, resting with her eyes closed. Li Sanyu spoke, "Ghost Mother, all the great cultivators of Three Pure Ones Mountain have gone to the northern territory. When do we strike?" The ghost mother of Ephemera replied with closed eyes, "No rush, wait for the battle to break out." Su Han looked up at her and asked, "This time, who is our target?" "Prince of Taicang Liya." The ghost mother of Ephemera uttered the name. Su Han couldn't help but frown. He knew Liya had a close relationship with Guwen. He asked, "Why him?" He also mastered the Taicang Divine Shocking Sword. The Taicang Divine Shocking Sword of the Li family was passed down from our Ephemera sect. Although and how prevented us from taking Heavenly Palace Mountain, his appearance gave me an idea. That is to let you also acquire the Taicang Divine Shocking Sword. The sword intent of the Taicang Divine Shocking Sword can cover the strength of all beings, perhaps better unleashing the power of the Hateful Heaven Divine Sword. The ghost mother of Ephemera's tone was exceedingly calm, as if Liya were already a dead man. Su Han took a deep breath and said, "Choose someone else. There are other Li family disciples. I don't want to deal with Liya. Only he knows the Taicang Divine Shocking Sword in the Li family. Not even Li Xuanmiao of Three Pure Ones Mountain can use it. No, Liya is my martial uncle. I can't do it." Su Han said solemnly, showing a rare strong stance against the ghost mother of Ephemera. The ghost mother of Ephemera opened her eyes, her hollow gaze falling on him. Even in broad daylight, it instinctively made him avoid her eyes. The 9 Nether 13 Evil remained silent, all watching Su Han with amusement. The ghost mother of Ephemera slowly spoke, "If you don't want to deal with Liya, fine, but you must be prepared to rumble." A thunderbolt flashed across the sky, startling the ghost mother of Ephemera, Su Han, and the others to look up. They saw thunderclouds rapidly gathering at the horizon, intertwined with lightning, and a colossal figure appeared in the cloud sea. "Taoist of immortality, it is time to settle our scores," an ancient voice echoed, coming from the mysterious presence within the thunderclouds. Far away in the mystic valley of the Supreme Sect, Guwen was observing the Three Dynasties' lands with his divine sense. He discovered that numerous ancient ruins and perilous places across the Three Dynasties' lands revealed signs of spatial formations, transmitting many demons into the interior. These teleportation arrays came from various ancient relics and deadly grounds. Guwen was certain that the 7-star spirit realm was assisting the demons, and those ancient relics were likely left by the 7-star spirit realm. The 7-star spirit realm had indeed made a brilliant move. Chapter 177. The Demon Master appears. Disia's fear the world was in chaos, and flames of war rose everywhere. Immense demonic energy rose from all over the realm, threatening to engulf the entire land. The winter snow was colder than in past years. Guin donned a rough raincoat, transforming into the green hero, wandering the mortal world. In the mountains, within a small town shaped like a crescent moon, flickering flames and curling green smoke rose. Black crows circled the sky densely above, their cries interwoven with the sounds of screams, wails, and roars, echoing relentlessly. Guin rushed out of the forest, leaping like an eagle from the cliff toward the town. Following his gaze, the town was filled with numerous demons and ghosts, wantonly slaughtering the common people. Some were gnawed alive from the feet by demons before they even died, a scene of cruelty and horror. In less than half an hour, only the sound of weeping remained in the town. Guin walked out of the town, shaking off the demon blood from his sword, then sheathed the Qinghong sword. Despite the anguish left behind, he did not look back. It had been 10 days since the revival of the demon ancestor. Battles had erupted in the northern territory of the Great Jiang dynasty, with Mahayana realm cultivators still engaged in fierce fighting. Not only the Great Jiang dynasty, but even the borders of Tianwei were also under the impact of the demonic tide. Although the Taizong dynasty did not need to guard its borders, demons wreaked havoc internally, presenting a crisis no less severe than in the other two dynasties. The demon emperor had not yet taken action, nor had the demon ancestor appeared. Guin was naturally not in a hurry. Judging from the current scale, even if the demon emperor and demon ancestor were killed, the human race of the three dynasties would still suffer for a long time under the demonic turmoil. Rescuing people while accumulating lifespan was a rare opportunity for Guin and did not use the limitless freedom step but flew by controlling his sword. Along the way, he saw many disciples of the Supreme Sect. Unconsciously, in the immortal cultivation world of the Taizong dynasty, the number of Supreme Sect cultivators had reached 1/3. No matter where one went, Supreme Sect disciples could be seen, showcasing the rapid development of the Supreme Sect over the years. It was evening when Guin finally returned to the Mystic Valley. He sat at his desk, took out pen and paper, and began writing, using the act of writing to dispel the malevolence in his heart. Too much killing would foster a heart inclined toward slaughter, and seeing too many tragic scenes left him in a poor mood, necessitating self-adjustment. Though he was a wandering immortal, he had yet to possess the Taoist heart of an immortal, and he was shaping his Taoist heart. No matter how high his cultivation level, he was still a person who had lived for less than 100 years. A person's mindset needed to change gradually. Which true immortal had not gone through thousands of years of worldly tumult? As the moon set and the sun rose, the next morning, the bell of the Supreme Sect sounded, summoning the inner sect disciples. Though Guin's status had already been elevated to the level of an inner sect disciple, he did not need to participate in the various affairs of the inner sect but only needed to focus on cultivating medicinal herbs. Guin went to the third medicine valley and began harvesting the mature herbs. Suddenly, he sensed a cataclysmic battle erupting in the distance. The immense pressure transmitted across millions of miles to the Supreme Sect. One of the combatants was Xian Tianyi. Xian Tianyi was fighting against 3 great demon kings, each at the Mahayana realm. Guin could sense that the demonic energy of 2 of the great demon kings was unstable, seemingly freshly broken through. Was it the work of the demon ancestor or some trickery from the 7-star spirit realm? The battle among 4 Mahayana realm powerhouses was immensely grand, and the pressure shaken the cosmos. The disciples in the valley were uneasy. Ever since the full outbreak of the demonic catastrophe, even if they did not participate in the fighting, they would occasionally feel the terrifying pressure, making them inevitably fearful. Guin, however, remained calm and continued picking herbs. Currently, relying solely on the herbs from the Mystic Valley, 8 Scenic Caves, 3rd Medicine Valley, Tianya Valley, Mystic Heaven Cave Mansion, Nianchu Cave, and Mountain God Temple, Guin reaped at least 25,000 years of lifespan annually with occasional bursts. If the demonic catastrophe ended and the 7-star spirit realm made no further moves, Guan would not proactively act against them. To him, the longer time dragged on, the greater the benefit. After Guan finished harvesting the herbs, just as he was about to leave, he sensed something, and his gaze turned toward the direction of the outer gate city. He gave some instructions to Xiaochuan, then flew towards the outer gate city. Half an hour later, Guan arrived at the edge of the heavenly repair platform, looking towards Wuxia. Wuxia was meditating beneath the two characters' righteous path, striving to comprehend sword intent. Over the years, Guan could feel that a sword intent had already accumulated within him. A demon practicing the sword? A sword demon? Guan mused silently, his gaze shifting to the others on the heavenly repair platform, constantly performing lifespan detection. He waited for someone to arrive. Specifically, he waited for a demon. After a while, a figure stepped onto the heavenly repair platform, passing right in front of Gu and Demon Master, Nirvana Realm Second Layer 30290/90000/170000 Nirvana Realm Second Layer. Demon Master. Guan recognized the existence of the Demon Master, a peerless great demon second only to the Demon Emperor in the Demon Land. To the Black Crow Demon Envoy, the Demon Master was unfathomable, his cultivation level unknown. The Demon Master certainly had another name, but the name shown in the lifespan detection may have used an alias, just as Li Xuanmiao appeared as Sage Shen Miao. Guan speculated it related to the name's renown. Most people only knew Sage Shen Miao's name but not Li Zuamiao's. Hence the lifespan detection showed the name Sage Shen Miao. The Demon Master had transformed into a middle-aged man in plain robes, with a refined and handsome appearance, devoid of any demonic energy. His cultivation seemed only at the core formation realm. He did not notice Guan, distracted by the numerous cultivators on both sides. He walked straight towards Wuxia, eventually standing behind him, silently observing the two characters' righteous path. After a while, the Demon Master spoke, admiringly. What a domineering sword intent. The sword Venerable Fudao lives up to his name. Wuxia suddenly opened his eyes, turning to look at him, an incredulous expression on his face. He quickly stood up, facing him, and asked in a low voice, "Why are you here?" The surrounding cultivators only glanced at them briefly, showing little concern. The Demon Master chuckled lightly, saying, "I came to see you, and to check out the Supreme Sect." Wuxia took a deep breath, trying to calm himself. He knew the Demon Master's strength. His father had said that even 72 great demon kings together could not match the Demon Master. In other words, the Demon Master's realm exceeded the Mahayana realm. Although the Supreme Sect had the enigmatic great cultivator sword Venerable Fudao, if a fight broke out, it would definitely level the Supreme Sect. Living in the Supreme Sect for so many years, Wuxia had grown fond of it and did not wish for its early demise. The Demon Master surveyed the heavenly repair platform, smiling. The Supreme Sect is truly magnificent. No wonder it harbors the heavenly destiny. Heavenly destiny? What heavenly destiny? Wuxia asked, frowning. He was cautious, fearing someone would discover the Demon Master's true identity. The Demon Master chuckled, saying, "In my calculations, the celestial order has changed, yet I cannot discern the reason for the shift in heavenly destiny. But I found that the celestial order of the human race in the 3 dynasties has altered, with the Supreme Sect undergoing the most significant change." Wuxia asked in a low voice, "What is your purpose in coming here?" The Demon Master grinned, his smile growing increasingly sinister and cold. They did not notice someone leaving the heavenly repair platform. Guan arrived in an alley, then instantly appeared in the Mystic Heaven Cave Mansion in the North Sea Mountain Range. He stood under the heart-clearing tree, pulled the heaven-cutting axe from the ground, then flashed to a mountaintop miles away. He raised the heaven-cutting axe, aiming it at the heavenly repair platform of the Supreme Sect. This axe left in the Mystic Heaven Cave Mansion was a waste. Better to leave a legacy for the Supreme Sect. After aiming, he lightly tossed the heaven-cutting axe. Though it seemed casual, the moment the axe left his hand, it erupted with terrifying power. the space visibly distorted, creating a strong visual impact. The violent wind crushed all the surrounding forests, even dispersing the clouds in the sky. The wind stirred Guan's black hair. He smiled, his divine sense trailing the heaven-cutting axe. On the heavenly repair platform, facing Disia's inquiry, the demon master spread his hands, smiling. What purpose could I have? It's just... Suddenly, his face changed dramatically. Instinctively, he tried to dodge, but his reaction was a moment too slow. Boom! Accompanied by a thunderous sound, an axe fell from the sky, striking the demon master. Blood and flesh splattered, instantly drenching Disia in blood. Disia stood there, dumbfounded, his eyes widening in shock. The surrounding cultivators were also splattered with blood. The terrifying blast wave sent everyone except Disia flying. The heavenly repair platform shook violently, startling everyone, who all turned their heads to look. Everyone was terrified at the sight, seeing a black axe embedded in the heavenly repair platform with a pool of mangled flesh beneath the blade. The axe blade was surrounded by wisps of strength energy, burning like flames. Blood bubbles formed at the base of the axe blade, with demon energy continuously emerging. Gradually, a skeleton appeared, its specific race indistinguishable, but it was definitely not human. Disia still stood frozen, as if struck by lightning, unable to move. One by one, figures appeared out of nowhere, including the Supreme Elder, Shen Quan. Shen Quan's face changed dramatically. In a solemn voice, he said, "This is a demon, and one at a higher realm than the mystic heart realm." His words startled everyone. A great demon infiltrating the supreme sect? Oh my God! I just looked at him, wondering what he meant by heavenly destiny. Who knew he was a demon? What's the origin of this axe? Does anyone in the supreme sect use an axe? Carefully feel it. There's sword intent on the axe. Isn't that the sword intent of Sword Venerable Fudao? Recognizing the sword intent on the heaven-cutting axe, everyone's panic turned into excitement and joy. The Sword Venerable Fudao was always protecting them secretly. Sword Venerable Fudao. Disia stared blankly at the heaven-cutting axe. The sight of the demon master's crushed body terrified him. The Sword Venerable Fudao could see that the demon master was a demon, and naturally he could see Disia's true form. Why had the Sword Venerable Fudao spared him? Was it because he had not caused trouble? At that moment, Disia's reverence for the Sword Venerable Fudao reached its peak. He was certain that the Sword Venerable Fudao was undoubtedly stronger than his father. Without showing himself, being able to kill the demon master instantly was beyond his father's ability. Shen Quan stepped forward, grabbing the handle of the heaven-cutting axe, trying to lift it. His face changed dramatically. He began cultivating energy, causing the entire heavenly repair platform to tremble. Under everyone's watchful eyes, the heaven-cutting axe stood motionless, undisturbed. Everyone's eyes fixated on Shen Quan, the Supreme Elder's face extremely grave. Chapter 178. Shen Tiany's shock. Ancestor Shen Quan tried to lift the heaven-cutting axe for a long time but couldn't manage to lift it. He had to let go and step back, which made everyone watching understand one thing. That was, Ancestor Shen Quan was far less powerful than Sword Venerable Fudao. Although they had already thought so, witnessing this scene still left them shocked by the vast difference between the two. How high was Sword Venerable Fudao's cultivation level? Just at that moment, the blade of the heaven-cutting axe emitted bursts of sword chi, hitting the ground, sending stones flying, and scaring everyone back. Disia had also woken up by this time, but his expression was very complex, and he was visibly shaken. The others thought he had been scared silly. Everyone stared to see 2 lines of words appear on the platform in front of the heaven-cutting axe. Whoever lifts this axe shall inherit its legacy. These 8 words made many people start breathing heavily. Immediately, an elder stepped forward to try lifting the heaven-cutting axe. On the other side, Guan had already returned to the outer gate city. He walked to the edge of the heavenly repair platform, watching the cultivators continually try to lift the heaven-cutting axe. A slight smile appeared on his lips. The heaven-cutting axe was forged from North Sea nether iron, which had been buried for millions of years. Even Mahayana cultivators would feel its immense weight without using spiritual power, and Guwen had infused the axe with mana and sword intent. Only a loose immortal could draw this axe. No one in Supreme Sect could lift it, and Guwen was not deliberately making things difficult. He would find a suitable inheritor in the years to come. In the meantime, he could eliminate the seven-star spirit realm. The heaven-cutting divine axe was one of the 9 great legacies of the seven-star spirit realm. Passing it on to disciples of Supreme Sect prematurely would only bring trouble. Slaying the Demon Master had extended Guwen's lifespan by over 6,300 years. A massive gain. The Demon Master's bones still lay under the heaven-cutting axe without disintegrating, implying the bones were rare treasures. Guwen was not in a hurry to collect them. With the axe pressing on them, no one could take those bones. After watching for a while, Guwen turned and left. Along the way, the disciples were still excitedly discussing Sword Venerable Fudao, not realizing he had just passed by them. Ancestor Shenquan approached Dixie with a serious expression and said, "Come with me." Dixie, with his face covered in blood, came to his senses. He did not resist and nodded in agreement. 3 Pure Ones Mountain. On a cliff, Liya was practicing his swordsmanship. Wielding the North Sea heavy sword, he swung it through the air, creating gusts of wind. Compared to years ago, his sword strikes no longer felt heavy. Instead, they appeared graceful and elegant. The soul of ancestor of the Li family floated under a nearby tree, his gaze distant and his brows deeply furrowed, lost in thought. When Li finished practicing, he looked back at ancestor of the Li family with pride and asked, "Ancestor, how is it? My sword moves have returned to their original form, haven't they? If I were to use my sword intent, its power would probably even scare me. Next time I meet and how I might not lose." Ancestor of the Li family continued to be lost in thought, ignoring him. Leah walked up to him, waved his hand, and complained, "What are you looking at? I'm talking to you. Don't bother me, I'm watching a battle." Ancestor of the Li family coldly snorted. Leah couldn't help but ask, "What level of battle?" "Unification realm." Leah lost interest immediately upon hearing this. He raised his North Sea heavy sword and said, "Stop watching. Nowadays, the world belongs to the Mystic Heart realm and Mahayana realm. Unification realm is nothing. It'll reach it sooner or later. I want to go down the mountain." As he said this, his expression turned serious. Ancestor of the Li family responded casually, "Then go." Upon hearing this, Leah immediately turned to leave. "Wait, where are you going?" Ancestor of the Li family regained his senses and hurriedly asked, "Back to Supreme Sect. Still worried about your junior brother Gu? What kind of spell has he put on you?" Ancestor of the Li family frowned, his tone one of exasperation. Standing with his back to ancestor of the Li family, Leah replied, "It's not for junior brother Gu. It's because Supreme Sect is in trouble. I need to go back and help. With the world in chaos, hiding here to cultivate. How can that be the behavior of a true man? What's the point of all the training bestowed by Supreme Sect?" With that, he leaped off the cliff. Ancestor of the Li family did not pursue him but stayed where he was, mulling over his words. Gradually, a smile appeared on ancestor of the Li family's face. That brat has finally grown up. News of Sword Venerable Fudao slaying a mysterious great demon with one swing of his axe quickly spread throughout the immortal cultivation world, greatly boosting morale on the front lines. According to Ancestor Shen Quan of the Supreme Sect, that mysterious demon definitely had Mahayana realm cultivation. The fall of a Mahayana realm demon was undoubtedly good news for the entire human race. In a grand hall of the great Jiang dynasty, "Ha ha ha ha! My Supreme Sect is indeed powerful. Sword Venerable Fudao can kill a Mahayana realm cultivator with a single axe swing. His cultivation level is probably catching up to mine." Shen Tianyi, sitting in the main seat, laughed heartily. Liang Songhai, sitting beside him, also stroked his beard and smiled. Although Shen Tiany's words were arrogant, no one could deny that Sword Venerable Fudeo's actions were beneficial to the human race. Cultivators from various sects praised him. Among those present, the lowest cultivation level was in the Mystic Heart realm. Even the sect leader of Supreme Sect, LV Badian, was not qualified to enter the hall because they were discussing strategies against the Mystic Heart realm and Mahayana realm demons. Since the outbreak of the demon calamity, there had been demon informers within the human race. Demons disguised as humans lurked around, and some people even sought to defect to the demons to save their own lives, complicating the calamity even further. A great cultivator in the Mystic Heart realm asked, "Why not bring Sword Venerable Fudao to the front lines?" This suggestion received a lot of support, as many believed that if Sword Venerable Fudao joined them, their pressure would certainly decrease. A woman in black spoke, "We don't know exactly who Sword Venerable Fudao is. He is merely protecting the Supreme Sect. We can't force him to act, nor can we pressure him with public opinion." She wore a veil and was a supreme elder named Fairy Sushin from the Supreme Sect. Her words garnered nods of agreement from the crowd. Someone brought up, "Sword Venerable Fudao possesses the Demon Shadow Divine skill," suggesting he may have come from the Thousand Autumn Pavilion. If so, he might have turned over a new leaf and thus cannot show his true face. In that case, we definitely shouldn't request his help. Liang Songhai then said, "When the Nine Nether Road opened before, Sword Venerable Fudao made a move. I suspect he will do so again in the future. But he has his considerations. Don't forget, we still don't know how strong the Demon Emperor, Demon Master, or that mysterious demon ancestor are. Sword Venerable Fudao might be concerned with these matters, thus waiting in the shadows." The reasoning seemed sound to everyone, so they began to discuss the Demon Emperor and the Demon Master. An old Taoist from Three Pure Ones Mountain suddenly said, "Could the demon that died under Sword Venerable Fudeo's hand be the Demon Emperor or Demon Master?" Upon hearing this, everyone frowned. Liang Songhai said solemnly, "We must determine this matter. Whether it's the Demon Emperor or the Demon Master, their death would benefit our future plans. As we continue to fear the unknown forces in the demon land, our efforts lack effectiveness." Shen Tiany spoke, "I'll go back and return by tomorrow at the latest." No one had any objections to this. Supreme Sect had only one known Mahayana realm cultivator. They couldn't send a Taoist lord to Supreme Sect after all. Even the Alliance hierarch, Liang Songhai, agreed, so Shen Tiany immediately set off. At dusk, Supreme Sect, Outer Gate City. Shen Tiany walked up to the heavenly repair platform, his appearance causing many inner sect disciples to stare wide-eyed. This Outer Gate City had gathered a number of inner sect disciples, either to gaze at the heaven-cutting axe or to seek sword enlightenment, and most of them had heard Shen Tiany preach the Tao, thus recognizing him instantly. For a moment, silence fell over the heavenly repair platform. Even the outer sect disciples noticed the change in atmosphere and followed everyone else's gaze. Shen Tiany walked straight to the heaven-cutting axe. A disciple trying hard to lift the heaven-cutting axe was pushed by his friend. He instinctively looked at Shen Tiany, his face changing drastically. He quickly stepped back and saluted Shen Tiany. Shen Tiany nodded slightly, stepped 2 more steps forward, and faced the heaven-cutting axe. He looked at the inscription on the ground and squinted his eyes. How domineering the sword intent was. Just by feeling the sword intent, he realized that he was inferior to Sword Venerable Fudao. This made him speculate even more about Sword Venerable Fudao. This person was definitely not cultivated by Supreme Sect. The reason he protected Supreme Sect might be that he was hiding there. His gaze shifted to the Demon Master's bones, carefully examining them, even probing with his divine sense. More and more cultivators gathered around, whispering. Quickly, even the outer sect disciples knew that he was the true inheritor, Shen Tiany. This excited everyone. Was the true inheritor also going to challenge Sword Venerable Fudeo's legacy? Although Shen Tiany had gained much fame in recent years, in the hearts of many disciples, he still did not measure up to Sword Venerable Fudao. After all, Sword Venerable Fudao was deeply mysterious. Sword Venerable Fudao's eyebrows suddenly knitted, and his eyes showed a look of shock and fear. These bones were definitely not from a Mahayana realm. Their realm was even higher. Shen Tianyi had traveled overseas for years and had encountered great cultivators and demons in Nirvana realm, even immortals. Could Sword Venerable Fudao crush a Nirvana realm demon with one axe? Was Sword Venerable Fudao an immortal? Shen Tianyi immediately raised his hand, gripping the handle of the heaven-cutting axe. Heavy. That was Shen Tianyi's first impression. At this moment, Ancestor Shen Quan and Lu Lingjun also arrived nearby, curiously watching Shen Tianyi. Lu Lingjun had also tried to lift the heaven-cutting axe before but couldn't even budge it, so she was very curious if Shen Tianyi could lift it. Shen Tianyi used all his strength with one hand but could not move the heaven-cutting axe at all. A fierce look flashed in his eyes. Boom! A terrifying aura erupted, startling everyone around into retreat. The entire heavenly repair platform trembled violently, as if about to crack open at any moment. Everyone was shocked by Shen Tianyi. What kind of cultivation could produce such an aura? Spiritual power burst forth, creating a gust of wind around Shen Tianyi, even making his robes flutter and rustle. He even bent down, using all his might to lift the heaven-cutting axe. However, the heaven-cutting axe remained unmoved. How could this be? Shen Tianyi's eyes were bloodshot, completely lost in the moment. He admitted he was weaker than Sword Venerable Fudao, but to be unable to lift Sword Venerable Fudao's magic artifact, how could he accept that? His eyes widened, his aura suddenly increasing, his hair lifting, and strange cyan runes appearing on his neck. Chapter 179. Promotion to Big Brother, Immortal Legend, the Third Medicine Valley. Guwen, who was sowing seeds, looked up, a hint of surprise flashing in his eyes. This Shen Tianyi was no simple person. This momentum was already close to the Nirvana stage. It was known that Shen Tianyi was only at the 6th-layer Mahayana realm. In the Mahayana realm, even a small gap of one layer was difficult to overcome. For Shen Tianyi to exude momentum comparable to the Nirvana stage, how incredible was that? Guwen became curious about Shen Tianyi's cultivation technique. Previously, Shen Tianyi had already given him the cultivation technique, but he was too lazy to look over it. On the other side, at the heavenly repair platform, even after using the secret technique, Shen Tianyi still couldn't shake the heaven-cutting axe. Veins bulged on his forehead. All the onlookers were shocked, including Ancestor Shen Quan and Lu Lingjun. To think that Shen Tianyi's momentum was so formidable, yet he couldn't budge the heaven-cutting axe. What kind of cultivation level did Sword Venerable Fudao possess? The more they thought about it, the more stunned they felt. Lu Lingjun's reverence for the supreme sect deepened. After reaching the mystic heart realm, she felt she could act recklessly within the supreme sect. Today's event showed her how far she still had to go. She shouldn't act carelessly in the future to avoid offending Sword Venerable Fudao. Several seconds later, Shen Tianyi's momentum dissipated. He slowly straightened his body and let go of his right hand. The world was silent. No one dared disturb him. Everyone could feel his pride and anger. They didn't want to provoke him. Previously, Shen Tianyi had touted himself as the #1 cultivator of the supreme sect, even the world. Today, he couldn't even lift Sword Venerable Fudao's axe, bringing great shame upon himself. Just as everyone grew tense, Shen Tianyi suddenly laughed, loudly at first, then thrown back in hearty laughter. Spreading his arms, he laughed. Who would have thought? Our supreme sect harbors such a formidable cultivator? I underestimated the world. I am impressed. Impressed. His hearty acceptance of failure relieved everyone. Even though he couldn't match Sword Venerable Fudao, he remained a figure of admiration and reverence in the supreme sect. Ancestor Shen Quan took a step forward to console him. Tianyi, you represent the future of the supreme sect. I am pleased that you can see it this way. Other elders also stepped forward to offer consolation. Shen Tianyi turned around, his robes fluttering as he laughed. Don't worry, If it's against our own, how could I mind? However, one day I will challenge Sword Venerable Fudao. Before that, I will first eliminate the demonic calamity." Upon hearing this, cheers erupted. More people began to echo the sentiment, and everyone admired Xian Tiany's ambition. He held his head high, embodying the demeanor of a prodigy. Time flew by quickly. Night fell. Inside the pavilion of the Third Medicine Valley. Bang! Damn it! That was so humiliating. Xian Tiany slapped the table angrily. One hand couldn't help but cover his face. Facing him, Guan found it amusing and said, "Isn't it good that someone is stronger than you? At least the pressure isn't all on you." Xian Tiany covered his face. "I know. I just regret acting so hastily. I should have tried when fewer people were around. No, I should have given up after a try. Instead, I used the secret technique and caused such a commotion. It's just too embarrassing." The more he spoke, the more frustrated he became. Guan secretly enjoyed it. He took out spiritual wine and poured a drink for Xian Tiany. "Then let's drown your sorrows with wine? Drink. I swear to reclaim my honor once I become an immortal," Xian Tiany said in frustration. He looked at Guan. "Don't tell anyone about this. I'm only confiding in you." Guan said, "Don't worry. We are sworn brothers. Your honor is my honor. I will naturally cover for you. Sigh, I wonder who Sword Venerable Fudao is and where he is hiding. Honestly, I really want to meet him and get to know him." Xian Tiany sighed. Guan teased, "If you knew Sword Venerable Fudao, would you be sworn brothers with him? Why not? It would give you another backer." Xian Tiany laughed too. "Could you call Sword Venerable Fudao your big brother?" "Of course, how could I ask him to be my little brother? And he is surely much older than me. All right, from now on, Sword Venerable Fudao is the eldest brother, you are the second brother, and I am the third. Ha ha ha. Deal. I think it's a deal." Xian Tiany laughed gleefully and began clinking bowls with Guan was equally pleased. Finally promoted from little brother to big brother. Although Xian Tiany was over 500 years older than him, serving as a little brother to someone of lower realm felt uncomfortable. Now it was better he became the big brother. After venting his frustration, Xian Tiany started to narrate how heavy the heaven-cutting axe was. "You have no idea, your brother really gave it his all, but that axe was as heavy as if the heavenly Tao possessed it." The more exaggerated Xian Tiany described, the more Guan enjoyed it. He wasn't bothered in the slightest, even hoping Xian Tiany would continue. It wasn't until dawn the next day that Xian Tiany finally left. He had to head to the front line for battle and couldn't stay in the Supreme Sect for long. Guan walked downstairs, stretching lazily. Sunlight bathed him, making him feel refreshed. The sense of accomplishment from slaying the demon master was far less satisfying than listening to Xian Tiany praise himself. Guan felt he could keep listening if Xian Tiany kept boasting for 3 days and 3 nights. Feeling joyful, Guan began strolling within the Medicine Valley, occasionally instructing the disciples on their tasks. They could all sense his good mood. An Exian approached him. "Master, I've been practicing swordsmanship recently. Can I spar with you for some pointers?" She wasn't looking for a fight. She sincerely sought guidance, knowing Guan was a golden list genius, though the lowest among them. Guan agreed without hesitation, leading her to an open area to spar. The sun continued rising, symbolizing hope ascending. Days passed one after another. After the death of the demon master, no demon dared infiltrate the Supreme Sect, while Wuxia returned to the heavenly repair platform, indicating he had received the Supreme Sect's approval. Towards the end of the year, a piece of news shook the world. Sword Venerable Fudao was an immortal. This was revealed by Xian Tiany himself. According to their investigation, the monster slain by Sword Venerable Fudao with one axe strike was the demon master of the Demon Land, an existence far surpassing the Mahayana realm. When this news spread, the world was stunned, then overjoyed. The morale of the cultivators of the 3 dynasties soared, and the cultivators from all over who were slaying demons and monsters also grew more determined. With an immortal backing them, The human race could surely endure this calamity. Staying in the supreme sect, Guwen wasn't delighted by this news. Instead, he felt trouble looming. Now surely the demon emperor, demon ancestor, and 7-star spirit realm's eyes would be on Sword Venerable Fudao. Fortunately, no one knew that Sword Venerable Fudao was him. As the winter snow began to melt, Guwen headed to the third medicine valley. He turned to look at his pavilion. There stood a figure below the pavilion. Ji Xiaoyu. Ji Xiaoyu looked silently at the garden area. Her appearance was extraordinary, with a heavenly charm. Even in a black robe, she exhibited an ethereal fairy-like aura, attracting much attention from the disciples. Guwen stepped forward, arriving beside Ji Xiaoyu and said, "Third Miss, long time no see. Why have you come?" Ji Xiaoyu withdrew her gaze and turned to scrutinize Guwen. "Foundation Establishment Realm, 7th layer. Your progress isn't bad. Core formation is hopeful." Guwen smiled. With such a large medicine valley, even a pig could reach core formation. My progress is already quite slow. Ji Xiaoyu neither affirmed nor denied. The Ji family has completely withdrawn from the supreme sect. Do you not regret it? Regret what? Haven't you heard that Sword Venerable Fudao is an immortal? With him, the supreme sect will surely endure this calamity. Guwen shook his head, showing an expression of admiration. He wasn't boasting but aligning with the current mindset of Supreme Sect disciples. Now, all Supreme Sect disciples took pride in Sword Venerable Fudao, mentioning him in every 3 sentences. Ji Xiaoyu smiled. Sword Venerable Fudao is indeed formidable. I also highly respect him. By the way, Third Miss, why have you returned this time? Guwen asked. Wasn't she supposed to gather intelligence on the 7-star spirit realm? Why had she returned so quickly? Ji Xiaoyu said, I have returned to see Sword Venerable Fudao. Guwen widened his eyes. Have you met him before? Ji Xiaoyu nodded. He saved my life. He is my savior. Before Guwen could ask more, she continued, I want to go to the heavenly repair platform. Will you accompany me? Guwen had no objections and agreed. Ji Xiaoyu waved her sleeve, lifting Guwen with spiritual power, and flew into the sky. Lu Lingjun, under the mystic pure tree, looked up, frowning. Primordial Taoist talisman. Lu Lingjun seemed to recall something, her thoughts drifting into memories. Soon, Guwen and Ji Xiaoyu arrived at the outer gate city, flying directly to the heavenly repair platform. Many people surrounded the heaven-cutting axe. Zuoyijian was also there, guarding the heaven-cutting axe, and said in a deep voice, Each person can try only once. Do not offend the Sword Venerable, or you will be dealt with according to the strictest sect rules. He raised his sword, causing the surrounding people to disperse. His sword had once received the sword intent of Sword Venerable Fudao, making his name widespread. The Supreme Sect believed Sword Venerable Fudao favored him, as Sword Venerable Fudao had also saved him. Thus, they assigned him to guard the heaven-cutting axe, which he accepted as an honor. Even when his son, Zuolin, approached, he would sternly reprimand him. After the crowd dispersed, he took out investiture of the gods. Guwen and Ji Xiaoyu arrived before the heaven-cutting axe. Zuoyijian glanced at them. Nephew Gu, you can only try once. His tone was indifferent, but Guwen didn't get angry, finding it amusing instead. This guy was too interesting. Ji Xiaoyu didn't immediately touch the heaven-cutting axe. She said, The heaven-cutting axe was forged by ancestor Xian Tian. The purpose of forging this axe was to better execute a set of axe techniques called the heaven-cutting divine axe. When perfected, the heaven-cutting divine axe could split the sky and was one of the 9 inheritances of the Holy Land. Perhaps lifting the heaven-cutting axe could lead to the inheritance of the heaven-cutting divine axe. Upon hearing this, Zuolin couldn't help but look at her. Zuolin naturally recognized her. He had attended the Ji family's grand banquet. However, since the Ji family withdrew from the Supreme Sect, he looked down on them and did not greet her earlier. Guwen didn't expect Ji Xiaoyu to guess his plan. She had guessed it, yet why say it aloud? Did she not fear the presence of spies from the seven-star spirit realm? Ji Xiaoyu raised her hand and grasped the handle of the heaven-cutting axe. At that moment, Gu Wen suddenly sensed a mysterious power within her. Primordial Taoist talisman. This woman, she planned to cheat. Chapter 180 Evil Demon breaks the seal. Searching for sword, Venerable Ji Xiaoyu grasped the handle of the heaven-cutting axe, and she immediately felt its weight, a weight that struck her soul and filled her with an involuntary sense of reverence. The reason was Gu An's mana at work. Realizing she couldn't lift the heaven-cutting axe, she immediately channeled the power of the primordial Taoist talisman. This was the result of her training in the seven-star spirit realm. Previously, she could only draw on a tiny bit of the talisman's power, but now she could channel it at will. As the power of the primordial Taoist talisman flooded her bones and muscles, her aura suddenly changed. Zhuo Yijin looked at her in surprise, and the surrounding great cultivators, too, were startled, their gazes focusing on her. Gu Wen silently took a step back, avoiding being noticed by the others. Even if Ji Xiaoyu channeled the power of the primordial Taoist talisman, she still couldn't lift the heaven-cutting axe. Before the annihilation of the seven-star spirit realm, the heaven-cutting axe could not be lifted by anyone. After a while, Ji Xiaoyu released her right hand. Although she failed throughout the process, she didn't seem as strained as Shen Tianyi, even when channeling the power of the primordial Taoist talisman. Her stance was steady, as if she hadn't exerted much effort at all. No one was surprised by her failure, only curious about the aura she had exuded moments ago. She turned and walked over to Gu Wen, whispering, "As expected, I failed. Do you want to give it a try?" Gu Wen shook his head and said, "If you can't do it, there's no need for me to embarrass myself with my cultivation level. Perhaps this inheritance tests not cultivation but a certain trait," Ji Xiaoyu speculated. Gu Wen inwardly felt helpless. She had guessed correctly again. To avoid suspicion, Gu Wen stepped forward to try anyway. He even gripped with both hands and lifted a few times, his face turning red. Zhuo Yijin laughed and said, "Nephew Gu, don't be discouraged. As long as the heaven-cutting axe is here, you'll have another chance. Just keep cultivating diligently." Gu Wen quickly raised his hand in salute to him before leaving. Zhuo Yijin then picked up the investiture of the gods again and continued to savor it. After leaving the heavenly repair platform, Ji Xiaoyu and Gu Wen parted ways. Gu Wen didn't return to the valley but wandered around the city to relax. The world was still in chaos, yet the outer gate city seemed unaffected, remaining bustling due to the protection of Sword Venerable Fudao. An ancient hour later, Gu Wen finally left the outer gate city, once again disguising himself as the green hero and acting chivalrously. Winter passed, spring passed, and another summer arrived. The death of the demon master didn't change the world's grand trend. The demonic calamity continued, with great demon kings ceaselessly emerging. Yet the demon emperor and the demon ancestor remained unseen. Gu An's days became very busy. Besides picking flowers and herbs, he also had to descend the mountain to slay demons. Although busy, his lifespan increased rapidly. On this day, Gu Wen had just cleared demons from a town and came to a small river in the mountains, preparing to wash the demon blood off his blade. At that moment, he suddenly sensed something and looked into the distance. At the edge of the North Sea Mountains, a group of cultivators were in fierce battle. Su Han, holding a bone sword, was fighting Wu Ju. The two exchanged blows in the sky above the forest, while in the distance, other 9 Nether 13 Evil were battling the great cultivators of the Zhou family. Su Han swung his sword rapidly. His murderous aura soared to the sky, and his brows knitted tightly. The opponent was just at the first layer of the nascent soul realm. Why was he so difficult to deal with? Now that Su Han already possessed cultivation in the divinity transformation realm, armed with the hateful heaven divine sword and the defying fate divine skill, he confidently faced any divinity transformation realm cultivator without feeling pressured. But this time was different. He couldn't take down this low realm cultivator in a short time. Wu Ju's punches and kicks were like the wind. With each punch, it was like the midday sun, unstoppable. His strength energy was domineering. Even Su Han could not withstand it head-on. Unlike Su Han's surprise, Wu Ju was very excited, even letting out loud shouts. In the distance, Zhou Yu, watching the battle, looked satisfied. With a Unification Realm 9th layer cultivation, he alone held off 6 of the 9 Nether 13 evil. The Zhou family specialized in physical cultivation, using their bodies as weapons. Zhou Yu wielded a knife single-handedly, his black robe billowing. Each move grand and powerful, full of the spirit of splitting mountains and cutting rivers. Focus on the elixir, use qi to control the god. The body is the weapon, and the weapon is the momentum. Zhou Yu's voice suddenly echoed through the heavens and earth, like a rumbling thunder. Hearing this, Wu Ju immediately closed his eyes. His fists became slow but brought an even stronger sense of oppression to Su Han. Su Han dodged the fist wind, landing before a tree. He swung his sword quickly, sending tens of thousands of black sword qi rushing madly, lifting countless fallen leaves, attempting to drown Wu Ju. Wu Ju, suspended in midair, raised his right leg. The gusty, rain-like leg wind suddenly arose, countless leg shadows clashing with his sword qi. Boom! The air waves expanded violently. Wu Ju was forced back. He flipped in the air and landed steadily on a cliff. Su Han raised his sword to defend, without retreating, but his eyes widened involuntarily, and he couldn't help but ask, "Residual wind leg, who taught you?" Wu Ju opened his eyes, looked at him and said, "Not residual wind leg, this is Gale Shadowless leg, taught by my brother." "Who is your brother?" Thinking that Su Han was from the Supreme Sect, Wu Ju said, "My brother, Guan, do you know him?" Su Han's face changed slightly upon hearing this, and he involuntarily lowered his sword. Seeing this, Wu Ju realized that the other might have a connection with Guan, and he said in a deep voice, "No matter what your relationship with Guan is, never target him again. Otherwise, I won't spare you." Hearing Wu Ju's words, Su Han didn't get angry. The days in Mystic Valley and the Third Medicine Valley were the times he cherished the most, even though Guan had once advised him to give up his cultivation. He didn't resent him, knowing the master meant well. But he couldn't let go of his hatred and didn't trust the Supreme Sect. "Ghost Mother, let's go. Find other Golden List geniuses." Su Han shouted loudly, taking a deep look at Wu Ju, thinking this person possessed talent not inferior to An Hao. Such a genius being friends with Gu and truly made Gu unfortunate. "Let's go." The voice of the Ghost Mother of Ephemera sounded, and Zhou Yu suddenly descended, disrupting their plans, making further fighting pointless. Hearing this, the 9 Nether 13 evil immediately retreated. Zhou Yu raised his hand, signaling the other Zhou family cultivators not to pursue. Wu Ju watched Su Han's departing figure and couldn't help but shout, "What's your relationship with Guan?" Su Han did not answer and did not look back. Elsewhere, Guan retrieved his divine sense. He could sense that the Ghost Mother of Ephemera was about to act against Su Han. Over the past 2 years, Su Han's cultivation level rose swiftly, but his aura grew increasingly unstable, potentially deviating at any moment. Now, Su Han no longer only attacked those hunting him but also hunted innocent Golden List geniuses, completely stepping into the demon path. Guan didn't dwell on it. After washing his sword, he continued his journey. The world was chaotic, some saving, some killing. He only wanted to extend his lifespan without violating his principles. In a dimly lit underground palace, firelight flickered, casting shadows on the stone walls. Huge stone pillars stood on either side of the great hall. A red-scaled little snake quickly slithered, arriving at the steps before it stopped. It raised its body, looking at the burly figure reclining atop the stone chair at the top of the steps. "Your Majesty, King Mingjiang has already breached the Tianwei dynasty. It won't be long before the great Jiang dynasty falls too." The red-scaled little snake spoke human words, its voice soft and charming like a woman's. The burly figure reclining on the stone chair was the Demon Emperor, dressed in a loose purple robe, draped in some demon beast's fur, with a necklace of skulls around his neck. His face resembled a human's, with red fur on his cheeks, eyes like an eagle's, thick black hair, and 2 sharp horns. He reclined on the chair like a small mountain, his form exuding a sense of terrifying power. The demon emperor gazed down at the red-scaled little snake and slowly asked, "Has the demon ancestor emerged from seclusion?" The red-scaled little snake replied, "Not yet. His demands have been increasing lately, even devouring the demons waiting on him." The demon emperor squinted his eyes, deep in thought. The red-scaled little snake continued, "Your Majesty, I think we don't need the demon ancestor's power to flatten the 3 human dynasties. If you can kill Sword Venerable Fudao, Shen Tianyi Taoist Lord, and Taoist of Immortality are no threats at all. The demon ancestor is too strange. I have a feeling." "What feeling?" "A feeling that the demon ancestor is also a calamity to us." With that, it flicked its tongue, closely watching the demon emperor. The demon emperor remained expressionless and said, "Whether it is a calamity, we'll know when the demon ancestor emerges." The red-scaled little snake thought of something and hurriedly asked, "Are you planning to let him fight the humans first?" The demon emperor did not answer but instead asked, "Have you found out who is helping those demon kings break through?" "No, those demon kings won't talk. Your Majesty, you know these guys each have their own agendas, but I discovered something else." "What is it?" "The evil demon that has been sealed for 50,000 years is about to break free." Upon hearing this, the demon emperor immediately sat up, leaning forward, squinting his eyes, and asked, "Is that true?" The red-scaled little snake replied, "More and more demonic chi is surging from the ground. It's highly likely true, but we can't trace the evil demon's exact location." The demon emperor seemed to think of something and sneered, saying, "The demon ancestor revives, the evil demon breaks free, and many coincidences converge. This is no coincidence. It's a pity the demon master died too early. Otherwise, we could have tested him further. Speaking of which, he's also pathetic. Even after death, no one sought vengeance for him. It seems his so-called master only used him as a pawn." The red-scaled little snake remained silent, seemingly unwilling to comment on this topic. "You go to the Supreme Sect and find a way to send a message to Sword Venerable Fudao," the demon emperor commanded. The red-scaled little snake trembled upon hearing this, hastily saying, "Your Majesty, The demon emperor interrupted it and stood up, his terrifying demonic presence enveloping it. The red-scaled little snake had no choice but to lower itself, crawling on the ground in submission. At dusk, Guwen arrived at the 3rd Medicine Valley through the teleportation array, his face slightly grim. Today's encounters and revelations once again refreshed his understanding of human nature, putting him in a foul mood. Since the outbreak of the demonic calamity, his disdain for certain people had gradually surpassed his disdain for demons. The war between humans and demons was a struggle for survival of a race, where morals and ethics didn't apply. But in times of crisis, inner strife among one's own kind was even more odious. Guwen walked towards his loft, where someone was already waiting for him inside. Chapter 181, The Foundation of the 7-Star Spirit Realm. Black disgust Demon King Guwen pushed the door open and saw Shinjun sitting in his chair reading a book. He noticed that Shinjun's cultivation level had improved significantly, so he threw a lifespan detection at her. Shinjun, Core Formation Realm, 9th layer 130/760/2560. How did her maximum lifespan increase? Guwen remembered her maximum lifespan was just over 1,000 years, but now it had doubled. Could she really gain enlightenment from the painting? Guwen closed the door, then walked to the desk and asked, "Why are you here?" Shinjun put down her book, smiled and said, "What? I can't come? It looks like you're having such a good time with your Taoist friend that you don't want me to show up." Guwen shot her a glance and said, "I don't have a Taoist friend. Isn't the great cultivator in your valley trying to take you as her Taoist friend? She's highly cultivated and extremely beautiful. No normal man could refuse her. Shenzhen looked him up and down with a slightly teasing tone. Guan raised his eyebrow and said, I'm not a normal man. If she wants to be my Taoist friend, she needs to become an immortal first. Shenzhen laughed, saying, if she becomes an immortal, do you think she'll still look at you? By that time, would you even still be here? You can't spend your days fantasizing about an immortal descending to favor you. Can you? Guan sat down and laughed. I'm a writer. Like you. Writers love to fantasize. Don't they? Makes sense. I fantasize about Sword Venerable Fudao appearing before me and taking me as his Taoist friend. Shenzhen nodded, then looked at Guan to see his reaction. Guan seriously responded, what if it happens? I think there's hope. Shenzhen pursed her lips before continuing. Recently, I've gained many insights from a painting and captured the aura of a supreme treasure. So I'm planning to go treasure hunting. Will you join me? Treasure hunting? Guan quickly shook his head and said, the world is in chaos now. Going out is like seeking death. I won't go. Shenzhen furrowed her brows and said, that painting came from the imperial palace of the Great Yu dynasty. A gift from the former emperor to my father. It is said to be over 6,000 years old. I can sense that the treasure within it is extraordinary and not just one. Such an opportunity is seldom seen. I'm only sharing it with you. Guan replied, thanks for your kindness, Ms. Shun, but it'll pass. With my cultivation level, I'd only be a burden to you. Shenzhen's expression darkened. Just when Guan thought she was about to get angry, her tone shifted, and she asked, how is your relationship with Lu Lingjun? Do you think she is trustworthy? You want to invite her for the treasure hunt? Yes. I can sense that the place is beyond my ability to handle alone. She should be trustworthy, but I can't guarantee it completely. You should know people's hearts are inscrutable. Can you introduce me to her? With you as the middleman, if she still intends to harm me, she wouldn't be able to face you afterward. Seeing Shenzhen smile, Guan realized this was her true intention. Guan thought about it and agreed. Later, he took Shenzhen to find Lu Lingjun. Lu Lingjun occasionally went out, but most of the time she stayed under the mystic pure tree, seeking enlightenment. After learning about Guan and Shenzhen's request, she was indifferent until Shenzhen took out the painting, at which point she was moved. Guan sensed a hint of Mahayana realm aura from the painting, indicating there truly was a supreme treasure at that place. Soon, the two women set off. Guan rarely came to the mystic pure tree and decided to lie against the trunk, closing his eyes for some rest. He began recalling everything he had seen recently, the scenes of slaughter persistently replaying in his mind. Until evening, Guan left the third medicine valley. The moonlight was cool, and a ghostly wind blew through the mountains and forests. Ji Xiaoyu sat meditating under the tree, resting with her eyes closed. She heard footsteps nearby and couldn't help but open her eyes to see. It was none other than Guan, transformed into Sword Venerable Fudao. Ji Xiaoyu stood up and greeted him with a raised hand. Senior, I have obtained some information about the 7 Stars Spirit Realm. Go ahead, Guan said coldly. Ji Xiaoyu began to recount the information, and Guan listened attentively. She had learned that the 7 Stars Spirit Realm intended to seal off the seas around the continent and were establishing a dynasty in the northern part of the continent. That dynasty consisted solely of descendants of the 7 Stars Spirit Realm cultivators and had been around for 400 years. Within the 7 Stars Spirit Realm, their claim was that the Holy Land must not interfere with the evolution of the continent, but they needed to leave human lineage behind, hence the establishment of a new human dynasty in the north. This was how it had always been. The current lands of the 3 dynasties were also formed by descendants of 7 Stars Spirit Realm cultivators from long ago. The 7 Stars Spirit Realm was divided into 7 Grotto Heaven sects, the strongest being 1 Star Cave. The Ji family could only interact with 7 Stars Cave. Ji Xiaoyu found out that the strongest cultivator was the Cave Master of 7 Stars Cave, said to be an immortal, and within the 7 Stars Cave, there were as many as 20 Mahayana realm cultivators, and these were just the elders on the surface. Guwen was also surprised by the strength of the Seven Stars spirit realm. It seemed there would be some excitement tonight. As dusk approached, Wuxia left the city and headed towards the demon energy. An ancient hour later, under the cover of night, Wuxia arrived in the forest and looked at the red-scaled little snake on the branch, frowning as he asked, "Why are you here? Where is the Black Crow demon envoy?" The red-scaled little snake replied, "After he came to find you, he disappeared. He was likely killed by Sword Venerable Fudao." Upon hearing this, Wuxia's expression changed slightly. He finally understood why he was still alive. Sword Venerable Fudao must have heard what he said and thus spared him. How terrifying was Sword Venerable Fudao? They had concealed their demon energy and stayed outside the Supreme Sect, yet Sword Venerable Fudao still noticed? "Since that's the case, why do you dare show up?" Wuxia sneered. The red-scaled little snake said, "His Majesty sent me. He wants me to deliver a message to Sword Venerable Fudao about the demon calamity, but I don't know where Sword Venerable Fudao is." "So you called me out? Don't tell me you think I've met Sword Venerable Fudao?" Wuxia scoffed. The red-scaled little snake flicked its tongue and said, "Wuxia, there's no need to hold such animosity towards your father. Most of the time, he is helpless. Do you think it was your father's idea to resurrect the demon ancestor? Wasn't it? Could the demon master have forced my father?" "Exactly, he could." The red-scaled little snake's answer made Wuxia frown. It continued, "The demon master's cultivation level is indeed lower than His Majesty's, but there are more powerful beings behind him that His Majesty does not dare provoke. Moreover, His Majesty has lost control over the demon calamity. If you leave the Supreme Sect and see for yourself, you will understand that the demons invading the human race have all turned into demons with violent temperaments, including the great demon kings." Wuxia fell into silence. The red-scaled little snake went on. "The demon master said that the demon ancestor is only a soul shell without self-awareness. But this is not true. His Majesty cannot control the demon ancestor, nor can he control the world's demons. His Majesty worries that the demon calamity targets not just the human race but also the demon clan." Wuxia took a deep breath and asked, "So he wants to talk with Sword Venerable Fudao to deal with the demon calamity together?" "Correct," the red-scaled little snake answered. It was about to speak when it suddenly turned its head towards the depths of the forest on the western side, asking, "Who's there?" Wuxia also turned to look, seeing a figure slowly walking out of the darkness. When the two demons saw the true form of the newcomer, their faces changed drastically. The red-scaled little snake even trembled all over. "Black Disgust Demon King you?" the red-scaled little snake said tremulously, filled with fear. Wuxia was equally tense. A man in red emerged from the darkness, his hair disheveled and his feet bare. He looked like a human with no demon traits, except for his pale complexion and the sinister air between his brows. The Black Disgust Demon King revealed a sinister smile and mockingly said, "The demon calamity has been ongoing for so long, and the demon emperor has yet to make a move. I was curious about the reason, so I followed you to the Supreme Sect. I didn't expect that His Majesty intends to yield to humans. I will not allow it. Tonight, I—" His words were abruptly cut off by a hand suddenly resting on his shoulder. Chapter 182. Too frightening. The Black Disgust Demon King felt his right shoulder being pressed. Instinctively, he wanted to leap away, but his demonic power instantly solidified, making it impossible to move. His expression changed drastically, and a sense of panic instinctively arose in his heart. The red-scaled little snake and Wuxia widened their eyes. They saw a shadowy figure appear behind the Black Disgust Demon King, a mysterious figure shrouded in dark purple demonic aura. Sword Venerable Fudao. Wuxia immediately guessed the true identity of the shadowy figure, his entire body stiffening with fear. He dared not move, but the Black Disgust Demon King could not move. Guwen stood behind the Black Disgust Demon King. He initially wanted to hear some information from the demon, but then thought better of it. There was no need to listen. A soul search would suffice. Confirming that the Black Disgust Demon King had animosity towards humans was enough. The Black Disgust Demon King tried his hardest but could not mobilize his demonic power or perform primordial spirit emergence. With his peripheral vision, he vaguely saw a figure, and his fear reached its peak. Having lived for over 10,000 years, he had never been so terrified. Even when he lost to the Demon Emperor in the past, he had not been this scared. This was a fear of the unknown. The opponent suppressed him with one hand, shattering his understanding. He struggled to open his mouth to speak, but suddenly a terrifying divine sense invaded his mind, causing his eyes to instantly lose their luster. The red-scaled little snake quickly jumped down from the branch, crawling on the ground and trembling, saying, "I mean no harm. Senior, please do not kill me." Dixie remained silent, knowing that sword Venerable Fudao would not kill him, but the sudden appearance still scared him. This reminded him of the scene when the Demon Master was killed. What kind of cultivation level did sword Venerable Fudao have? Even though the Black Disgust Demon King was not one of the 72 great demon kings, his cultivation was not much weaker than the Demon Master's. His domain was an area that Dixie's father, the Emperor's father, could not conquer. Seeing that sword Venerable Fudao did not respond, Dixie and the red-scaled little snake could only wait. They dared not run. With the Black Disgust Demon King subdued, where could they run? As for attacking sword Venerable Fudao, that would be seeking death. So this is sword Venerable Fudao. The rumors are true. The red-scaled little snake thought in fear. It had heard that the Demon Master was killed by sword Venerable Fudao with one axe. Although it seemed absurd and exaggerated, the fact that sword Venerable Fudao could kill the Demon Master was enough to instill fear. When the Demon Emperor assigned it this task, it was nearly in despair. Along the way, it had managed to adjust its mindset. That night, it almost collapsed again. Too frightening. No, too terrifying for demons. This was scarier than meeting the Demon Ancestor. After all, the Demon Ancestor would not appear suddenly. The two demons waited for 2 ancient hours, with each second feeling like an eternity. At this moment, Guwen's right hand ignited with cyan flames, quickly enveloping the Black Disgust Demon King. Under the watchful eyes of both demons, the Black Disgust Demon King was reduced to ashes in an instant, without even leaving behind his soul. You have successfully taken 7,090 years of lifespan from the Black Disgust Demon King, Nirvana Realm 3rd Layer. Not bad. It was worth coming out. From the Black Disgust Demon King's memories, he was a renowned genius among the Demon Clan. He once overshadowed the Demon Emperor. Unfortunately, the Demon Emperor later had a great opportunity and surpassed him. If he had not come to the Supreme Sect, he could have lived for another 70,000 years. Was it not good to stay alive? Why cause trouble? Guwen thought silently, his gaze turning to the red-scaled little snake. The Black Disgust Demon King's demon core was now in Guwen's hand. He deposited it into his storage bag for future needs. Unfortunately, the Black Disgust Demon King did not carry a storage bag or storage ring. This guy was too arrogant, having not used a magic artifact for many years. The red-scaled little snake hurriedly said, "Senior, are you sword Venerable Fudao?" Although it had already guessed, it still had to ask because it concerned the task assigned by the Demon Emperor. Guwen responded with a sound. The red-scaled little snake breathed a sigh of relief and continued. "His Majesty the Demon Emperor asked me to come, hoping to join forces with you to resist the entity behind the Demon Master and the Demon Ancestor. After the great demon calamity ends, the Demon Clan wishes to coexist peacefully with the human race. After all, this continent is vast, and there is no need for one race to be exterminated." "Who is behind the Demon Master?" Guwen asked. From the Black Disgust Demon King's memories, there was no mention of the Demon Master's benefactor or interaction with cultivators from the 7-star spirit realm. However, he was a confidant of the Demon Master, a chess piece cultivated by the Demon Master, deliberately kept out of the 72 great demon kings to counter the expanding power of the demon emperor. The red-scaled little snake replied, "His Majesty said that entity calls itself the heavenly destiny ancestor. Whether human or demon is unclear. Its cultivation level is tremendously powerful, capable of easily sealing His Majesty's demonic power. The heavenly destiny ancestor is likely a legendary loose immortal, 2 grand realms higher than the Mahayana realm. Loose immortal." It was the first time Wuxia had heard of this realm. He stood on the side, very restrained. Guan asked, "Specifics on how to cooperate?" He needed to see sincerity. The red-scaled little snake said, "His Majesty is in the demon land, inconvenient for initiating war, but he will send demons to support the human race. These demons are secretly cultivated by him, and at the time, they can fight as demon companions of the Supreme Sect, led by Wuxia himself. His Majesty can externally declare Wuxia a traitor. How many demons, what realms? 3 Mahayana, 10 Mystic Heart, and 1,000 demon troops, with the lowest cultivation level at Void Crossing." This statement left Wuxia astonished, looking at the red-scaled little snake. He did not realize how many great demons his father secretly cultivated. It seemed his father had long planned. Wuxia's face showed a smile. It was the first time he acknowledged his father. Guan also felt the demon emperor's sincerity. This force indeed could assist the human race. Seeing that sword, Venerable Fudao remained silent. The red-scaled little snake added, "Since ancient times, demons exterminated humans, humans exterminated demons, over and over. Only the Holy Lands endured. His Majesty finds it odd and wishes to change this situation. To use a line from your Supreme Immortal Venerable's book, how can wrongs be righted if both seek revenge endlessly?" Guan turned and left a sentence. "Let him take you to meet the elders of the Supreme Sect." He walked into the darkness, as if he had never appeared. "Thank you, Sword Venerable, for your kindness. In the future, when the continent is peaceful, the demon clan will remember your grace." The red-scaled little snake shouted excitedly, feeling thrilled. Wuxia bowed to Guan, his courtesy proper. For a long time, the red-scaled little snake sighed in relief, saying, "Sword Venerable is really scary. That was the black disgust demon king, and he died so easily, without even a chance to resist." Wuxia's eyes showed determination, saying, "Just as you said, how can wrongs be righted if both seek revenge endlessly? In the end, the heavens are watching. Perhaps Sword Venerable Fudao is the savior who will change the continent's suffering." The red-scaled little snake nodded in agreement. The autumn scenery covered the mountains and rivers. Guan wandered in the 3rd Medicine Valley, inspecting each garden area, with an Xian accompanying him. A month had passed since the night when the Black Disgust Demon King was killed. The Supreme Sect remained calm, but Guan noticed that on the edge of the Supreme Sect, a large number of disciples were building teleportation arrays, with Wuxia among them. It was evident that the Supreme Sect was willing to cooperate with the Demon Clan. At this critical moment, the human race was constantly retreating, and the situation grew increasingly dire. The Supreme Sect planned to take a risk, counting on Sword Venerable Fudao. After a while, Guan stopped, giving an Xian a few instructions, and then left alone. Watching Guan's back, an Xian blinked. She felt that her master's presence had become even more outstanding, giving her an indescribable feeling. It was this presence that made her increasingly cling to Guan. Seeing him appear, she wanted to be close. Even if they did not speak, she did not feel bored. Guan used sword control to fly swiftly to the transmission array platform and headed to Mystic Valley. After arriving in Mystic Valley, he left quietly, not going to Tianya Valley but to another territory of the Taizong dynasty. In a forest, trees were toppled, blood and flesh everywhere. All demon corpses, a ghastly sight. Zhang Buku, covered in blood, leaned against a mountain wall, panting heavily. His long hair matted with blood-forming strands. His chest was covered with gruesome wounds, his eyes full of exhaustion. He had fought another fierce battle. Since the great demon calamity erupted, he often encountered demons wanting to eat him. Even those evil spirits would attack him. Practically every 3 or 4 days he had to fight, constantly wounded, constantly healing, narrowly escaping death. He was too tired. Many times he wanted to give up, but whenever he thought of martial Uncle Gus' encouragement, he found strength, gritting his teeth to persevere. I wonder if martial Uncle Gu is doing well. Now that there are more powerful demons rampant in the world, I hope he does not encounter danger. Zhang Buku looked at his bloody hands, thinking silently. He had no family left in the world, not even friends. He could only think of martial Uncle Gu to divert his attention and lessen his pain. He did not notice that above him, a figure was watching him. It was Guan Gu and had hidden his presence, making it impossible for Zhang Buku to detect him with his level of Dao. Seeing Zhang Buku's injuries, Guan could not help but feel compassionate. Since their last parting, Guan occasionally used his divine sense to observe Zhang Buku. According to Guan's observation, Zhang Buku was kinder than most people in the world. He never bullied anyone or any demon. When encountering the weak, he would step forward, but few people or demons would accept him. Even if saved by him, they would part ways after a few days. Zhang Buku had always been seeking companions to alleviate his loneliness. No matter how many times he was injured, he never harbored resentment. The most despondent time for him was when he met Guan previously and wanted to commit suicide. With such a temperament and such experiences, Guan ultimately could not bear it and decided to help him. He performed the divine power of heaven and earth 9 transformations, transforming into a sparrow, descending in front of Zhang Buku. He chirped a few times, catching Zhang Buku's attention. Zhang Buku looked at it, a strange smile appearing on his face, saying, "Little sparrow, are you concerned about me?" Chapter 183 Master Zhang Buku followed the sparrow, passing through the forest. Although his injuries were severe, his physique was strong. He had suffered such injuries before and only needed a month to recover. However, he hadn't rested for long before he began his journey again. The exhaustion rushed over him like a tide, testing his willpower. After walking several miles, he could hardly hold on and wanted to lay down for a sleep. The sparrow's chirping kept urging him forward, and he had no choice but to continue. Gradually, Zhang Buku's eyelids grew heavier and his steps became more sluggish. Guan did not help him, only kept urging him on. It was unclear how much time had passed. Finally, unable to endure any longer, Zhang Buku collapsed on the hillside and lost consciousness completely. Sunset and moonrise. A night passed. Zhang Buku's eyelids fluttered. His consciousness gradually returned, and he slowly opened his eyes. The sunlight falling on him made him feel warm. At this moment, a few small birds were perched on his body. Sensing his movement, they all flew away. Zhang Buku opened his mouth, feeling his throat dry. He struggled to get up and looked around, but the sparrow that had led the way was nowhere in sight. His brow furrowed, and he prepared to go downhill to find a place to clean his wounds. He suddenly sensed a faint demonic energy he had never encountered before, inexplicably compelling him to approach. After hesitating for a moment, he took a step forward. He walked around the hillside to the other side and pushed aside the weeds in front of a rock wall to reveal a rather small cave entrance. He began to dig through the soil. After resting for a night, his strength had recovered considerably. An hour later, he crawled into a tunnel. After crawling for a long time, he finally reached a spacious cave chamber. Upon landing, his gaze fell on a smoothed round stone in front of him, upon which a bright red demon core, the size of a human head, was placed. Seeing the demon core, a greedy expression involuntarily appeared on Zhang Buku's face. Step by step, he walked forward with trembling hands. Meanwhile, hundreds of miles away, Guan observed the scene with his divine sense. That demon core was the demon core of the 6-headed sea dragon, a demon core from the Mahayana realm, sufficient for Zhang Buku to defy fate and change his destiny. However, given Zhang Buku's current realm, whether he could withstand the power contained in the demon core was uncertain. If he couldn't hold on, Guwen would intervene. Under his divine sense's watch, Zhang Buku grasped the demon core tightly and began to cultivate, absorbing the demonic power. His body trembled incessantly, the scabs on his skin transforming into blood energy and dissipating. His face contorted, and his skin turned red at a visible speed. What is this pain? Now I not only slay demons but also people. Although many tell me that, in extraordinary times, these people are needed to resist demons, I don't listen. Leah said coldly. He then looked at Guwen and asked, Junior brother, do you think I'm wrong? Guwen replied, How could you be wrong? If these people were willing to resist demons, they wouldn't commit evil acts. By doing evil, they are a burden to the entire human race. I support you. Li Ya's face immediately broke into a smile, knowing his junior brother understood him. He continued to speak about his journey, and Guwen listened attentively. Over the decades, Guwen had made many friends, disciples, and even had romantic interests, but Leah still held a high position in his heart. They had both entered the Supreme Sect together, and before reaching the Foundation Establishment realm, Leah had taken care of him. This kindness he would naturally remember. Once Leah finished writing, he had also concluded his story. Leah put down his brush and looked at Guwen, smiling, Junior brother, I have come specifically to visit you. Tomorrow I must descend the mountain again. The world is in chaos. Senior brother can go and do what you must. I don't have your strength and can only plant herbs in Medicine Valley. I will pray for you, wishing you safety, Guwen said with a smile as well. Leah laughed. With you praying for me, I will certainly be safe. He then asked, By the way, do you still have contact with my emperor father? This matter had been hidden for decades, and Guwen felt it was time to speak out. So he told him about Tianya Valley. I used to disdain him, but now his deeds have made me look at him with new eyes. Follow him well. If he dares to scheme against you, I will not spare him, Leah said with emotion. After the demon calamity, the three dynasties had ceased fighting, united against the demons. Li Shendao even personally led troops to expedition against the Demon King, his fame growing larger, acknowledged more highly in the immortal cultivation world than even the emperors of Tianwei and Great Jiang. Oh yes, a wise man at Three Pure One's mountain divined that our Li family has a person destined for great things. That should be me. I might become an immortal in the future. See, isn't your senior brother impressive? Leah said proudly. Only in front of Guwen could he reveal his true feelings. Guwen curiously asked, What are the characteristics of a person destined for great things? Is it top talent or unrivaled fortune? Leah raised an eyebrow. Whether in terms of talent or fortune, I am the strongest among the direct bloodline of the Li family. How do you see it? I should be the person destined for great things. Or do you think there is someone else? You don't possibly like my sister, do you? How could that be? I haven't seen your sister for years. By the way, is senior sister Li well? Of course she's well. But wait, you just said you don't like my sister. Chapter 184 Mutual Appreciation. Suhan's desperate situation in Tianya Valley. Guwen, who was picking herbs, smiled. He heard Zhang Buku's words and felt both comforted and accomplished. Senior brother Zhang, did you ever think I would become your son's support? Guwen's thoughts drifted back several decades. At that time, Chang Shendan was still around, constantly engaged in alchemy and rarely coming downstairs. It was always Zhang Chuanqiu leading him, Leah, and Meng Lang in their work. Years passed, and of the original 5 master and disciple members, only Guwen and Leah remained. Time flows, and some people and events are taken away by the years, with their traces gradually erased. Autumn leaves danced in the air, as Sun Da, Sun Air, and Sun Sun followed Guwen, occasionally asking questions. Normally, neither Luohun Lvcien, nor Ji Ruolai paid much attention to them. Only Guan would chat with them and even bring them some gifts whenever he came, so they liked him very much. This time, Guan brought them some spirit fruits, which were very tasty. Although the 3 monkey demons were demon slaves, Guan did not look down on them. Just like when facing Tian Yaoer, he was used to treating all living beings with an equal attitude. Moreover, in his view, even ordinary monkey demons had their own personalities and interesting aspects. Perhaps one day, these 3 monkey demons could also have their own opportunities. Guan told them about the current calamity of demons, depicting the evil deeds of demons and humans, guiding them towards virtue. Hearing how dangerous the outside world was, the 3 monkey demons gave up the idea of leaving the valley, trusting that Guan would not frighten them with lies. What he said must be true. Lvcien suddenly came to Guan's side and asked, "Valley Master, do you think humans and demons can live in harmony?" Guan squatted down and replied, "Why not? Before the great demon calamity, there was constant strife within the human race. There will always be survival struggles among individuals, but on a collective level it is definitely decided by a minority in power." Lvcien was immediately interested and asked, "Do you mean that the calamity between humans and demons is not destined by heaven?" The 3 monkey demons also looked at him. Guan asked, "If in a mountain forest, there were no cultivators, no demons, only a group of ordinary living beings, would there be a calamity sweeping the entire forest?" "No, there would be conflicts, but they wouldn't shake the environment." Lvcien agreed and followed up, "You mean that as long as the leaders of both races negotiate peace, there can be tranquility? Even if there is peace, the struggle for survival among living beings will not cease, but it would not be as terrifying." However, these ideas are meaningless. We cannot change the world's trend, so it's useless to think too much. Better to cherish the days we have now. Guan stood up and said this. Then he looked at Lvcien and asked, "Do you have something to do?" Lvcien pretended to cough and said, "I've been having some difficulties with the mystic tortoise surging wave palm lately, and would like your guidance. My hand techniques were all taught by you. How can I guide you?" Guan replied, a glint of coldness flashing in his eyes as he looked at Lvcien. Lvcien quickly said, "It's precisely because I taught you that I want to hear your thoughts. One doesn't need to be superior to guide another. Different people have different insights, and you might offer unexpected ideas." This explanation was reasonable and considerate. Guan said, "Then wait a moment. Let me finish my work first." "All right." Lvcien stepped aside immediately. After a while, Guan handed the medicinal herbs to the 3 monkey demons and then took Lvcien to the attic. Without needing his instructions, Lvcien began setting up restrictions. Neither Luo Hun nor Ji Ruolai thought much of it. Even though they all served Li Xiandao, they still kept secrets from each other, especially regarding cultivation matters, which should not be easily pried into. An hour later, Lvcien finally opened the door and left, and Guan was also about to leave. Staring at Guan's retreating figure flying by sword, Lvcien felt filled with admiration. This person was truly incredible. Despite having a cultivation level in the divinity transformation realm and extraordinary comprehension, he concealed his abilities to appear as an ordinary valley master. He had investigated Guan's background and found no deep-seated enemies. He even had the Ji family as his support. This indicated that Guan had unimaginable patience and goals. Lvcien's admiration for Guan grew, wishing to become someone like him. What's a moment of glory? Becoming immortal is the true goal. Lvcien also thought of Li Xiandao. He was the only one who knew Li Zuando's true cultivation level. No wonder Li Xiandao admired Guan so much. It was mutual appreciation among those with grand ambitions. It amused Lvcien that neither knew the other's true cultivation level. He started to look forward to the day when both would discover each other's true strength. Autumn passed, and winter arrived. A major event shook the world of immortal cultivation. The Supreme Sect actually sent a demon army to support the Northern Territory, including a Mahayana realm demon king, causing an uproar. Countless people questioned the Supreme Sect's collusion with the demon clan, But with this demon army sweeping through a battlefield, the doubts disappeared, replaced by excitement. Successive reports of victory boosted the morale within the supreme sect. Yet, even so, the world crisis remained unresolved. The demon land's demons seemed endless, impossible to kill completely. Zhen Qin breathed a sigh of relief, maintaining her distance, and asked, "Senior brother, can you really not turn back?" Su Han's face twisted into a grim smile. "Turn back? There's no going back. My hands are already stained with blood. Even if I abandon my cultivation, my enemies won't let me go." Zhen Qin saw his unstable condition and quickly asked, "Do you need healing medicine?" "No, I came to ask you for a favor." Su Han shook his head. Zhen Qin couldn't help but ask, "What is it?" At that moment, Su Han suddenly moved closer, pressing his right hand on her forehead. Her eyes widened in horror as she realized she couldn't move. Su Han's face turned immensely cold in that instant. "Senior brother?" Zhen Qin managed to utter 2 words before a powerful spiritual force entered her body, rendering her speechless. In the distance, in a town, Guin was swinging his sword to slay demons, his brows furrowed, eyes complex. He turned and continued to kill demons, while other cultivators were fighting alongside him in the town. In the forest, Su Han looked at Zhen Qin's panicked expression and whispered, "Junior sister, don't be afraid. I won't harm you. Senior brother is at the end of his rope, destined to die, and wants to pass all my cultivation to you before I die, to help you change your fate." Hearing this, Zhen Qin's pupils dilated. Memories of Outer Gate City flashed in her mind. Back then, the Outer Gate wanted to sacrifice disciples, and Su Han risked his life to cover her escape from the city. Because of this gratitude, she had always cared about Su Han's fate. Though Su Han was infamous, perhaps wronging many people, he had always been good to her. Everyone could condemn him, but not her. The ghost mother of ephemera taught me the defying fate divine skill, wanting me to enter the Nine Nether Road. Though I don't know her final intention, my fate would be grim. In a secret realm, I seized a Mahayana Dharma artifact and escaped them, but I'm heavily injured and won't live long. The hateful heaven divine sword ends with me. I sought revenge, but the true enemy is elusive. Yet, I understand now that practicing the hateful heaven divine sword means endless enemies. Perhaps I've already taken my revenge. Junior sister, with our average talent, we are mere ants in the world of cultivation. Practicing the hateful heaven divine sword was my only chance to escape fate. Though I failed, my life was still worthwhile. Now, inherit my cultivation. She could feel the immense power contained in this gold ring. Even though she had been transformed, it still shocked her. This must be a Mahayana Dharma artifact. Zhen Qin's eyes turned back to Su Han. She bit her lip, her eyes full of struggle. Her trembling right hand lifted, a spirit power fire igniting on it. "Are you really willing to burn the senior brother who passed on his cultivation to you?" A voice came from the side, startling Zhen Qin. She turned to see a small figure in white sitting on the trunk of a tree behind her, wearing a mask. She was stunned for a moment, then couldn't help but cry out in joy, "Mountain God!" She immediately knelt down, continuously kowtowing to the mountain god. Guin looked down at her with a deliberately frivolous tone, laughing. "What are you doing?" Zhen Qin looked up and hurriedly said, "Please save my senior brother, mountain god. He killed so many people, why should I save him?" Upon hearing this, Zhen Qin panicked and said, "How many people did he kill?" Looking at the world, which great cultivators' hands aren't stained with blood. The immortal cultivation world is inherently competitive. My senior brother didn't want to kill, but many people wouldn't tolerate him and forced him onto this path. He cultivated the hateful heaven divine sword. It's said that the greater the hatred of the sword practitioner, the stronger the sword intent. But my senior brother is not invincible in the world with the hateful heaven divine sword. which shows that his hatred is not that great. He also cultivated the defying fate divine skill of the ephemera sect. This skill can seize others' cultivation. If my senior brother had no bottom line, his cultivation level would be even higher. As she spoke, she became more and more agitated, releasing all her grievances. She felt aggrieved for Su-han. Su-han grew up without a mother. His father passed away early. He carried a blood feud and entered the supreme sect. The hateful heaven divine sword he cultivated was passed down by his father. What wrong did he do? Others hunted him down. Shouldn't he fight back? Su-han never killed ordinary people. Even to become stronger, he only killed cultivators. The righteous path of the world. Jinqin did not believe those great cultivators never killed innocent cultivators. Guwen looked down at her and said, "The world has countless paths to cultivation. He must be responsible for his choices. Do you know what the fairest thing the heavens provide to all beings is? It is death. Since people have died because of him, he will naturally die as well." Jinqin wanted to refute but feared offending the mountain god. Guwen continued, "You think he had no other path, and he thought so too. But if you think carefully, was that really the case? I don't think so. You both came from the same sect. Why are you living well?" After hearing this, Jinqin gradually calmed down. If you truly believe your senior brother was without fault, then you will walk the same path. This is not what he wished to see. Guan's tone became ethereal. The dead cannot be brought back to life. I am just a mountain god. I don't have such power, but I can take away your senior brother's body and leave you with a sliver of hope. How about it? Upon hearing this, Jinqin did not respond immediately. She hesitated for a long time, then said through gritted teeth, "Then please, mountain god, take him away. One day I will find you. I will seek the method of resurrection." Guwen did not oppose her. If Jinqin had one more goal, her future cultivation would be more diligent. He raised his right hand, taking Su-han's body into his hand, making it very small, leaving only a storage bag on the snow. Seeing the mountain god's miraculous divine skills, a grief-stricken Jinqin was too sad to be amazed. She got up and asked, "Mountain god, why are you here?" Guwen disappeared from the tree branch, leaving a sentence. "Who says a mountain god can only stay in one place? Moreover, I am not just a mountain god." Upon hearing this, Jinqin was awed, thinking that this mountain god might hold a transcendent position among the immortals and gods. She wiped away her tears and infused the gold ring with spirit power, causing the barrier to disappear immediately. She headed toward the place where Yilan and others were stationed. Her senses had already captured the aura of Yilan and others. They spread out, moving quickly, clearly searching for her. Inside the mystic heaven cave mansion, Guwen placed Su-han's body on a stone table, looking at his apprentice's face, feeling a bit dazed. He thought of when they were in the mountains of Mystic Valley years ago. He guided Su-han in swordsmanship, and Su-han generously gave him the hateful heaven divine sword technique passed down from his family. He recalled how, when demon cultivators attacked Mystic Valley, Su-han stood in front of him without hesitation to protect him. He felt he had not owed Su-han anything, but in reality, Su-han had not wronged him either. Su-han had simply chosen a different path. Guwen used his mana to start freezing Su-han's body, preventing it from decaying. The soul remained temporarily within the body. He had no way to resurrect the dead. This was the best he could do. During the freezing process, Guwen detected something, raising an eyebrow. Su-han only transferred his power to Jinqin, but the hateful heaven sword intent remained in his body. Guwen sensed that this sword intent contained many causal connections, one of which was very complex, reaching the loose immortal realm. How could Su-han have come into contact with a loose immortal? Could it be the creator of the hateful heaven divine sword? Guwen raised his other hand, taking Su-han's sword intent into his palm, forming a cluster of blood energy swirling in his hand. After Su-han was fully frozen, Guwen walked aside and began to study this sword intent. As early as the Nirvana realm, Gu-en could detect causal connections and observe the past decade of beings of lower realms. Now, his perception of causality was even stronger. In his eyes, causal auras constantly formed lines. The one belonging to the loose immortal extended from the mystic heaven cave mansion to the ends of the heavens and the earth. Gu-en turned, using his divine sense to trace the line. They spanned countless mountains. His divine sense traversed oceans, finally landing on a vast island. On this island lived millions of people. A third of them were cultivators, and their cultivation levels were very high, with 7 at the Mahayana realm, 1 at the Nirvana realm, and 1 at the loose immortal realm. The loose immortal was hidden underground on the island, within a complex barrier. The hateful heaven ancestor has developed hostility toward you, and his killing intent is increasing. Would you like to perform lifespan detection on him? How does he know about me? Gu-en was secretly alarmed. He hastily dissipated the hateful heaven sword intent in his hand, choosing lifespan detection. Hateful heaven ancestor, loose immortal realm second layer, 14809/25,000/28,000 loose immortal realm second layer. After a moment of hesitation, Gu-en disappeared from his spot. In a mysterious underground chamber, the hateful heaven ancestor, clad in a gray robe, meditated on a prayer mat. He kept his eyes closed, brows furrowed. Mountain God, who is playing tricks? I didn't expect such a figure to be hidden on that continent. The hateful heaven ancestor muttered to himself, opening his blood-red eyes. He could spy on all sword practitioners through the hateful heaven divine sword intent. Su-han was too far from him, causing a delay in his spying process. The thought of the mountain god taking Su-han caused him unease. Moreover, it seemed the mountain god was deducing his causality. Has he transformed into a mountain god to evade the 7 stars spirit realm? Or is he from the 7 stars spirit realm himself? The hateful heaven ancestor pondered with a frown. Su-han's death made him furious. Fewer and fewer people were cultivating the hateful heaven divine sword. The immortal cultivation world was well aware of its price, severely impacting his plans. For this reason, he had turned his eye to the continent. Unfortunately, in less than 1,000 years, the reputation of the hateful heaven divine sword on that continent also turned foul. Having finally found someone to inherit the hateful heaven divine sword, he naturally cared. He felt resentment toward the ghost mother of ephemera and the 9 nether 13 evil, even considering exterminating those insects, but feared being discovered by the 7 stars spirit realm. Now, no one on the continent cultivated the hateful heaven divine sword. The more the hateful heaven ancestor thought about it, the angrier he became, even developing murderous intent. No, I have to go there myself and personally pass on the teachings. The hateful heaven ancestor thought silently, closing his eyes to continue cultivating. This matter could not be rushed. He needed to wait until the so-called calamity of demons and spirits ended before quietly sneaking onto the continent. He had already discovered that the 7 stars spirit realm had nurtured another human dynasty. At that moment, a hand suddenly pressed on the hateful heaven ancestor's shoulder, making him open his eyes abruptly. The internal space was over 10 miles in diameter, storing countless spirit stones, elixirs, magic artifacts, secret books, and rare treasures. Gu-en felt that with this storage bag alone, he could establish his own sect. He wasn't in a hurry to leave. He sat on a stone bench and took out a secret book to read. This secret book was called Hateful Heaven Path. The Hateful Heaven Divine Sword was merely a branch of the Hateful Heaven Path. Because Hateful Heaven Ancestor had been a sword cultivator, he had created the Hateful Heaven Divine Sword. Hateful Heaven Path was a legacy discovered by Hateful Heaven Ancestor in an ancient palace under the sea when he was 1,000 years old. It was said that this palace belonged to a powerful sect from ancient times. When the ocean submerged the mortal world, everything sank to the seabed. Hateful Heaven Ancestor had reached his current height relying on the Hateful Heaven Divine Sword. He propagated the sword technique, allowing sword cultivators to bolster his hateful heaven path. The power of the hateful heaven divine sword came from borrowing his strength. In this process, he would continually absorb the other party's chi fortune and lifespan. Thus, those who practiced the hateful heaven divine sword advanced quickly in cultivation but also died quickly. The cultivator from the sword sect of the Great Yu dynasty who created the hateful heaven divine sword had also been taught by him, not self-created. After perusing it, Guwen thought hateful heaven path was indeed powerful, but it was too sinister. Moreover, practicing this path would lead to backlash. For example, hateful heaven ancestor couldn't be exposed to sunlight and could only act at night. Even as a loose immortal, walking in the sunlight would cause heart demons to torment him. Guwen threw the secret book into his storage bag and continued to inventory the other secret books. At the end of the year, the demonic catastrophe was entering a more severe stage, and the Supreme Sect began mobilizing outer disciples to patrol the surrounding areas. That day, a violent demonic cat rushed into Mystic Valley, attempting to attack servant disciples. Fortunately, Chu Jingfeng arrived in time to slay it. When Guwen returned from the Third Medicine Valley and saw the demonic cat's corpse, he found it still harbored a concealed and sinister power of cause and effect. This power of cause and effect was quite similar to the hateful heaven path, possibly explaining the demon clan's transformation into demons. The disciples gathered around him, talking all at once, worried that Mystic Valley would face an attack during the demonic catastrophe. Guwen stood up and comforted them. "Don't be afraid. With the protection of the Supreme Sect, nothing will happen." The disciples didn't believe him. If there was a demonic cat today, what would appear tomorrow? Chu Jingfeng had no cultivation, relying solely on his swordsmanship to slay demons. Xian Tianyi vanished into thin air. Jihan Tian immediately turned and urged the disciples of the Supreme Sect to prepare for battle. Far away, Guwen stood up at the Third Medicine Valley of the Supreme Sect. He didn't look north but looked up at the sky. The sky was blue, but the white clouds were dissipating. "Master, what's wrong?" An Exian, who was counting seeds nearby, turned and asked. Xiaochuan and several disciples all looked at Gu and said, "The clouds in the sky are dispersing." Hearing this, the others all looked up. Soon, they also began to feel suspicious. After the clouds dispersed, they didn't disappear but kept surging, like pieces of torn cloth being pieced together. Moreover, everyone noticed that the whole world became strangely quiet, with even the sounds of insects missing. "Seven Stars Spirit Realm, is it?" Guwen looked at the sky and thought silently. He could feel the space above the Supreme Sect fluctuating. A mysterious power had already enveloped the entire Supreme Sect. This power had surpassed the Nirvana realm, so the Supreme Sect cultivators hadn't noticed. The demon ancestor descended south, but another loose immortal was about to arrive at the Supreme Sect. It seemed the Seven Stars Spirit Realm had set its sights on Sword Venerable Fudao. Were they afraid that Sword Venerable Fudao would stop the demon ancestor from descending south? Under Guan's gaze, the scattered clouds in the sky gradually formed an array diagram, grand and spectacular. This made more and more disciples of the Supreme Sect look up. The disciples in the valley could even hear the noise from the outer city in the distance. Lu Lingjun appeared next to Guan, saying in a deep voice, "Trouble is coming. You better not run out." With that, she leaped into the sky. Not only her, but the Unification Realm cultivators of the Supreme Sect also flew out. Lu Lingjun took out a treasure sword and slashed it, the spiritual power sweeping across like a rainbow, majestic in momentum. With a loud boom, the array diagram in the sky burst out with brilliant golden light, and a boundless pressure descended, startling Lu Lingjun to stop in a hurry. The other Unification Realm cultivators were the same. Unlike Lu Lingjun, they were suppressed by the pressure from the sky, unable to move, all looking at the array diagram in the sky with fear. Every piece of scattered cloud in the array diagram emitted golden light, forming golden lines and then condensing into golden runes. The golden light shined down, and whoever was illuminated by it couldn't move. And Zin's eyes widened, showing a look of despair. The outer city, atop the heavenly repair platform. The cultivators in sword enlightenment there all stood, their bodies trembling. They looked at the sky incredulously. "What is that?" Zuijian, standing next to the heaven-cutting axe, raised his neck and asked with difficulty. No one answered him. The terrifying pressure over the supreme sect suddenly intensified, and the earth began to tremble. With his head down, Guan glanced at Xiaochuan, and Xian, and others' desperate expressions from the corner of his eye. Everyone's hearts were shrouded in fear, too preoccupied to look at those beside them. Guan sighed softly. Why do people always seek death? A mysterious, cold, and indifferent voice sounded, this time filled with fear, no longer calm and composed as before. Boom! The golden light array diagram in the sky, sliced in half, suddenly exploded, a terrifying strong wind crushing everything between heaven and earth. Zuijian instinctively lowered his head and closed his eyes. All the disciples in the third medicine valley were blown away by the suddenly erupting strong wind, including Guan's true body. The formations in each area of the valley were activated, forming protective barriers, like light shields suddenly lighting up. The mountains and forests outside the Medicine Valley shook violently, as if the trees were about to be uprooted at any moment. The same happened in Mystic Valley. All the cultivators in the outer gate cities in the 8 directions, the inner gate cities in the 4 directions, and the main city of the sect saw the golden light array diagram in the sky suddenly cut in half. Although they couldn't see clearly what had happened, the space rift spanning the sky proved that someone had just made a move. Along with the mysterious enemy's words, everyone thought of Sword Venerable Fudao. Ji Xiaoyu stood on the eaves, resisting the strong wind with her own spiritual power. The debris beneath her feet was blown away. She squinted as she looked on, her eyes filled with shock. The sky was covered with streaks of golden light, as if the golden sky had been torn apart. The heaven-cutting divine axe. Ji Xiaoyu muttered to herself, her beautiful eyes fixated on the sky. She naturally knew that the heaven-cutting divine axe was one of the 9 inheritances of the 7-star spirit realm. The appearance of the heaven-cutting axe had made her think that Sword Venerable Fudao just got the relic of ancestor Shen Tian. But now it was proven that Sword Venerable Fudao had also mastered the heaven-cutting divine axe. From the words of that mysterious great cultivator, it seemed that Sword Venerable Fudao not only mastered it but trained the heaven-cutting divine axe to a very high realm. Sword Venerable Fudao was hostile to the 7-star spirit realm. Could it be that Sword Venerable Fudao was also a person of the 7-star spirit realm? Ji Xiaoyu resisted the wind and thought wildly. The violent windstorm lasted for a long time. Zuijian struggled to open his eyes, seeing Sword Venerable Fudao turn around, putting the heaven-cutting axe back in place. Then Sword Venerable Fudao came to him, gently patting his shoulder. He froze. Immense joy filled his heart. His mind went blank. Before he could think more, Sword Venerable Fudao disappeared into thin air. When the storm completely subsided, more and more people stood up. Looking up, there were only golden remnants of clouds and a space rift of unknown length left in the sky. We are saved. The one just now definitely reached the realm of immortal path, yet was killed by Sword Venerable Fudao with one slash. I didn't expect Sword Venerable Fudao to be so powerful. His heaven-cutting divine axe feels close to Elder Lin's level. In terms of achievement, he can't compare to Elder Lin, it's just that his mana is strong enough. If startling immortal Lin is really dead, how do we explain to Elder Lin? What about the Supreme Sect? How should we deal with it next? Everyone was silent. Although they hadn't gone to the Taizong dynasty, they sensed the terrifying aura of the heaven-cutting divine axe. Now they dared not go to the Supreme Sect. An old man in black robes said solemnly, "Let's go back first, lest Sword Venerable Fudao comes to kill us." As soon as he said this, everyone's expressions changed. They immediately disappeared from the spot. Guwen, who had returned to the third Medicine Valley, was indeed watching them. 8 loose immortals. The foundation of the 7 stars spirit realm shocked Guwen. No wonder hateful heaven ancestor didn't dare come to the continent. Fortunately, the other side also feared him. Guwen's gaze turned northward. The demon ancestor was approaching. He had to deal with startling immortal Lin and now the demon ancestor. Today was truly troublesome. Lu Lingjun had returned to the valley. She saw Guwen and immediately dragged him to the loft, causing him to be temporarily unable to leave. As Lu Lingjun closed the door, Guwen asked, "What's wrong with you?" Lu Lingjun replied, "After the demon calamity ends, I'm planning to leave the Supreme Sect and explore the secret realm Xinjiang discovered." Guwen couldn't help but ask, "How do you know we can definitely withstand the demon calamity?" Lu Lingjun gave him a blank look and said crossly, "You didn't see how Sword Venerable Fudao acted today. Just 1/ killed the invader. With Sword Venerable Fudao here, how can the Taizong dynasty not withstand the demon calamity?" Guwen was secretly pleased, but still showed a worried expression on his face, saying, "No matter how strong Sword Venerable Fudao is, he can't possibly wipe out all the demons, right? He only needs to deal with the demon ancestor and the demon emperor. The demon calamity will surely end. Today I have truly broadened my horizons. This is also the first time I have seen Sword Venerable Fudao in action myself." Lu Lingjun began recounting the scene of Sword Venerable Fudao swinging the axe earlier, with reverence in her words. At the same time, in the great Jiang dynasty northern territory, Xian Tianyi stood at the edge of a cliff, figures constantly appearing on either side of him, all great cultivators from various sects, following their gaze forward. There was a desolate plain with demon energy permeating. The end of heaven and earth was murky, as if black mist was about to press down. Liang Songhai of the Tsongtian sect looked at Xian Tianyi and said, "We sensed a terrifying pressure from the direction of the Supreme Sect earlier. Could something have happened?" Others also looked at Xian Tianyi. Xian Tianyi said indifferently, "It came quickly and went quickly, meaning it's already resolved. If it was an enemy, with Sword Venerable Fudao there, anyone daring to invade the Supreme Sect would die." Despite his calm demeanor, a storm was raging in his heart. Startling immortal Lin's pressure made even this Mahayana realm cultivator feel fear. It must have been an immortal descending on the Supreme Sect. Xian Tianyi, with the highest cultivation level among the group, had experienced more. The mysterious immortal had just appeared not long ago, then was killed by an even more terrifying aura, indicating a great battle had erupted in the Supreme Sect and ended swiftly. This made him wonder what realm was Sword Venerable Fudao in. They saw the sky quickly darken. The starry sky appeared on the heavens, countless stars twinkling, even meteors streaked across. The Taoist lord couldn't help but frown, calculating with his fingers. The demon ancestor also saw this scene. Behind him was the dim demonic fog, while in front of him, half the sky was covered by the brilliant starry sky. You're tuning in to the Legend of the Vagabond YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.